Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Ant Farm Podcast. While you're here, go ahead and like us on Facebook. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at the Ant Farm Podcast, Twitter, the Ant Farm Pods. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Go ahead and subscribe so that you're already locked in when a new episode comes out. All right, on today's episode, I know it's been a minute, but we're coming with a different type of episode. It's a group chat episode. All right, we're going to be doing these periodically. It's multiple topics. Today, we're going to get into the Ukrainian and Russia war. All right, and how that's being covered in the media, particularly the refugees, as opposed to how refugees are talked about from other countries. We're going to speak on Lia Thomas, the transgender swimmer who is killing shit out there. And some other important topics we're going to cover are kind of the Deshaun Watson stuff, but not necessarily to him, but overall, just those kind of issues with sexual assault. If your boy is accused, how do you play that, and, how do you treat your friend who got kind of questionable behavior? And do we blindly believe women, or do we wait for the evidence to come out? And so we're gonna get into a couple of those type of topics. I promise you, it's a good episode. So definitely stick around. And if you want to join the next group chat, you can DM me the podcast. You can email at the antfarmpodcast@gmail.com. So many ways to get in touch with me if you're interested. We are developing the rundown for the next one. And so we're hoping to do that really soon. If you want to come on just as a guest, definitely hit me up. We're going to be doing a lot more of this, being more consistent. It's not a particular day that is going to come out, so I'm not going to promise that. But definitely subscribe or follow, and we'll be releasing social media clips on the regular from now on. Even we're even going to release clips online from previous episodes. All right. So thank you. And for today, familiar faces, we got Marcus back. We got Wendell back. And we have someone who I will be doing an episode with, Alan Patron. Definitely look him up. He's an author many times over. All right. He does stuff in the content space. He's writing for a magazine right now, which he'll speak on at the end of the episode. Definitely, I've read a handful of his books. Haven't read all of them. And he just, I love his personality. Y'all gonna see it at the beginning when he gonna be talking about Haiti. And just stay tuned because the conversation gets better as we move on topics. So you could probably take something from this. You could definitely call us out on our shit if we're wrong on some stuff. And we're definitely open to people coming on and responding to different things. All right. So definitely after this intro, stay tuned. We'll be back. For actually a couple months now, then I had the war with the Russia invading Ukraine. And a lot of people quickly started to notice the different ways the media was talking about Ukrainian refugees as opposed to other type of refugees. And just and also I wanted to kind of touch on just how America kind of be like bloodthirsty anytime there's even a chance there's a war going on and we might be involved and stuff. So I definitely wanted to talk to Alan about this particular topic because I know Alan's Haitian, if y'all don't know, and he definitely always talks about Haiti, a lot of stuff that I didn't even know about and what's going on and how they get treated there. And I know I'm we just saw I think at the Texas border not too long ago, um border patrol bringing out whips and stuff like that on horseback. I mean, some real looking like a plantation type of stuff. um so Alan, what have you seen, have you noticed, um the difference, obviously, and how it's been covered as opposed to places like Haiti, even Middle Eastern places?
I mean, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Secondly,
Yeah.
it's the color. What it comes down to, it's black people, and with Haitians especially, everybody looks at Haiti as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, when the real truth about it is that we're the most stolen from country in the Western Hemisphere, and America is the one that profits the most out of it from us. You know what I mean? Um,
Sorry to cut you off. What you said? You're the most what country?
we're the most stolen from country in the Western Hemisphere. We have a bunch of farmlands right now, and the crazy thing is, this Russia-Ukraine war actually affects Haiti a lot in more than one way that people can see, because for whatever reason, a lot of our imports comes from Russia, quote unquote, comes from there, right? Our wheat and stuff like that. But just imagine, just like logically, just think about it this way: Haiti is, I want to say, 50% farmland, right? Like a big 50% is a big piece of the land. You know what I mean? It's farmland. Why would we ever have to import wheat if we have farms? You see what I'm saying? So it's like they steal it from us just to sell it back to us, knowing that we can't pay for it because we're all living below the poverty line. It's like 70% of Haiti lives below the poverty line. That's not just 70% of one area of Haiti, 70% of the entire country. So there's that part of it where, you know, our goods are being stolen and such like that. So we're not able to even get food from over there right now. And then what you had said earlier about just the treatment of Haitian immigrants, we're being sent back into a war zone as opposed to Ukrainians being welcomed from a war zone. Haiti's been in disarray since since my entire life, really, but really since the earthquake about 10 years ago. And you know how the aid was stolen from us there, from the Clinton Foundation all the way through to the Red Cross and all these other, you know, charities. Even, I mean, look, even Wycliffe stole money. You know what I mean? And that's sick.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I look at it. It's disheartening, but it's not. It's like par for course. You know, the
Yeah.
Masters are going on right now, so it's par for course in that sense, because it's like I knew this was going to happen. As far as them sending us back there, they put it like this. You know how everybody was talking about how Russia rigged the election, and the election. No, the Haitian election was actually rigged, and then they killed the president.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, I was not a fan of the president. He was a piece of shit. He was a dictator. We can curse on here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. He was a dictator, and he basically was just a puppet for the United States and the United Nations. And I think that something that a lot of people don't know, and this is something that, and I say that not to like act like I know more. I literally just learned this in the past 2 years myself.
Mm-hmm.
There was basically a lot of Middle Eastern, Russian, and European countries run a lot of things in Haiti. I didn't know that, and my uncle was telling me when we were out there one day, and we're just seeing like these Land Rovers and these Range Rovers. I've never seen these cars even in the United States. I'm like, what's going on here? And he was explaining to me who it was. These oil barons and these all these stuff. So we had a deal with Venezuela. I don't know if you remember the oil deal that Haiti had with Venezuela. So Venezuela was supposed to supply us with a lot of oil and such like that. That all got stolen as well, which was part of the reason that the president got clapped. It's just all around dirty, man. Yeah. It's like on every level, it's nasty. And I put it like this: in Haiti right now, you see how like here everybody's complaining about gas being $4 and something. Well, in Haiti, they shut down gas stations to the point where people couldn't go to work. So then it got to the point where people would only, like, you're getting gas only to go to and from work. Like you weren't even making money. So it was basically slavery in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It's just really fucked, man. Everything is just really fucked. And to see Ukrainians welcomed in like that, like I was talking about this the other day, like I understand having empathy. I understand empathy, but I only have empathy for people who have empathy for me. You know what I mean? And for us. And it's like, what Ukrainian, whoever is ever going to do something for me, that's not my business. Has nothing to do with me, because the same things that America is sitting there putting their cape on, because listen, there's another agenda for them, obviously, right? So they're putting their cape on for the Ukrainians, and it's like, well, I'm looking at this stuff in Jamaica, Queens every single day. I'm looking at this thing every time I see a Haitian person, every time I go to Haiti, like, and I'm not trying to be like dramatic or anything like that, but like, I've seen kids in Haiti take dead bodies and build caskets out of debris and put that dead body into a casket. So it's like when people are talking about stuff and all this disaster, like, no, I've seen worse right here in my face. I lived it with people who look like me, people who speak my language. So it's like, it's very hard for me to have sympathy or empathy for people that I know would never do that for us,
Yeah,
so.
I feel you on that. Hey, Wendell, so you seen that video that was going around where it was like black Ukrainians or black people living in Ukraine, and they trying to leave and they formed that whole. So you saw that. I want to get your thoughts on that, but also you went through, the invasions and all that stuff. You was in the military around that time. Can you speak to like the difference, or at least what you remember, and how Americans was talking about going to war, and as opposed to how it is now, where you see some people like, yeah, we want to get involved in this war and things of that nature, but it's the people who ain't actually going to do anything. Like you got Senator Lindsey Graham talking about someone needs to murk, Putin and shit like that. Just people just talking out their ass, man. So I'm curious on your perspective on that.
Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So look, we all saw the differences in how certain individuals were talked about, right? Like, so even on the news, when the Ukraine stuff was happening, I have a homeboy that kind of did the same thing, right? We're on the news, they were like, oh, and the guy even said, he's like, this isn't a third world a country. This is he's like, I got to choose my words carefully. Like, this is
That's that
a
bullshit.
white European country. Like, it's not like Afghanistan or blah, blah, blah. So basically, he's saying like these other people don't matter. But these good white folk, these good civilized white folk matter. I had to get on my homeboy about it too, because he got on and he's like, these are war crimes that are happening. They need to be punished. And I'm like, to a certain extent, sure, it is war crimes that's happening, right? But like, why is there all this outrage for this particular country when this shit happens all over the world in black, brown, and yellow countries literally every day, right? And then he's like, where else is it happening? I started sending him a bunch of stuff, and he's like, oh shit, I didn't know. And they won't know because they don't cover that type of shit, right? Because lesser class, right? I mean, so there's some questions I have for Alan. What's up, Alan? Good to meet you, man. It's first time meeting you, first time talking to you.
Yeah, my bad. I was kind of bad at actually hosting and introducing people.
Nah, all good. So I mean, look, I like to look at things from, and I like to look at things from like the entire perspective, right? Like, it's easy to just get caught up and being mad and saying like, oh, well, this doesn't happen, right? So Alan, my question to you is, you mentioned the wheat, and how half the country is farmland, but they have to import wheat and they have to pay for it. What kind of farmland is it though, right? Like, because you can't just grow anything in any type of soil. So is the soil actually pertinent for growing wheat? It's good, okay, and then they're just being exploited.
It's I don't know how to pronounce this word, so please forgive me. It's agriculture. So basically, it's a lot of fruit, a lot of wheat, a lot of grains, stuff like that. One of our biggest exports, which makes this even crazier to me, is sugarcane, which thrives on the same type of soil that wheat would. So yeah.
Got you. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, look, we've all seen it. We've all seen how Ukraine is being treated as opposed to. And you know what? You know what's crazy about it? It's not. And I was telling my pops about this. Me and my pops. I wouldn't say we got into it, but we had a little back and forth. He was trying to give me a little perspective also because I was kind of upset. But I saw that Hampton University. I don't know if I sent that to you, Ant. Hampton University is offering free tuition and free room and board to Ukrainian refugees over, and it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not like for the entire, their entire degree, right? I think it's like a year. But still, like that same offer wasn't given to Afghan refugees, right? That same offer hasn't been given to, the different African countries that are dealing with genocides and the people are fleeing, and you got these refugees coming to the States. So it's definitely, it's obvious, right? Like there is a worldwide like desire to help white people, and whenever they run into any sort of situation, any sort of negativity, it's like, oh, we have to cape for these people and save them. Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to get Marcus' perspective because I just saw literally yesterday, it was like a St. Jude's commercial, right? And it's for Ukraine, dog. It's for refugees in Ukraine. I never, just like Alan, he talks about Haiti a lot. He puts me on a lot of stuff. I ain't never seen no commercial, definitely not with no backing and funding that I know came from that commercial. St. Jude's, dog. For refugees already. Like, and I never seen that. I ain't even see that for like motherfuckers from New Orleans.
Real quick, do you see on Instagram on your stories, like, when you swipe up and you could add a gift to something, there's Ukraine flags in that now.
Yeah,
I did not notice that.
Yeah,
Marcus, what have you been seeing? And I kind of want to get your perspective on just the bloodthirst for like war. That I know I've noticed online. People saying shit because we talked about like extensively on when we watched that documentary on Iraq and all that. So I wanted to get your perspective on just this whole topic, and also just what you've seen online and kind of in the news with people kind of every time there's even a possibility of war, they're like, yeah, all right, and they start talking about the draft and shit, which we don't even have.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the draft stuff because for one, we have so many people in the country that are in the service right now. It's not even necessary, like you said. Two, it's always people calling for shit that are never gonna go. Just like you said, I'm kind of gonna pair it off everything. You already said everything, and I basically was gonna say. I've seen, like you said, the refugees that were supposed to be leaving Ukraine. It basically started segregating them, saying you're pure Ukrainians first or whatever. Make sure they get to safety first. They had quotas on trains and stuff. Like, oh, you can only have so many of this many people on trains or whatever to leave. All kind of craziness that's going on. I've always seen people that know less than what they say they know, talking about the stuff. And once you start getting into the nitty gritty of it, then it comes, all that stuff. And I'm just not about that. It's a lot of people that don't understand what the war is even over, where it was starting from. A lot of people caping for Russia, caping for Ukraine.
Yeah.
They don't know what happened between Ukraine and Russia near the border. From what I've seen, it's a lot of Ukrainian, people that don't necessarily oppose this, but obviously at the same time, that's a small factor of people, and people are running with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not the whole country is like being welcomed back into Russia. That's not what they wanted. So if it was exactly like what they said it was, where people are basically taking everything out of the Kiev as gospel, which is fucking wild, because we know how they've been as far as information and disinformation. It's just not, I don't know.
I wanted to bring up to y'all, have y'all ever seen a president of another country ask for help so much in this small period of time? Because I was just seeing this nigga Zelenskyy, or whatever the hell this nigga name is. We're gonna call this nigga Z. All right, so this nigga Z was like, he told, yo, y'all need to close our airspace. And I just seen something where he's asking for some more stuff, like more sanctions. when I just listened to something. I think I might have sent it to Marcus, where it was a podcast about how they've been doing this sanction shit to these oligarchs for forever, and they get around that shit like that. Like
They
it's
do.
not doing anything. But do y'all remember in history? Y'all remember when our allies, supposed allies, asked for help this much, like in this amount of time? Like they've been trying to make this dude a rock star. Like they was like, oh, if they don't have him at the Oscars to speak, then that's some bullshit. Like I forgot who it was. I think it was Sean Penn said that bullshit.
I'm not well versed in international affairs. I'll be quite honest with you. I know about Haiti because that's like where my focus is, right? But like, I just try to do a lot of things based on common sense, and I look at the last president of this country and who he was in concert with, right? Yeah. And now this president, and now look who he's in concert with. And it's just like this thing is just like, I just kind of try to connect the dots. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's just like a common sense thing. Like, all right, we're really trying to fuck with them. That has nothing to do, like, I don't know what the United States business is over there. Yeah. But when it really comes down to it, it has nothing to do with us when there's people here starving, when there's people here that are homeless, when they, like, so that shit always blows my mind.
So yeah, I think I sent, sorry, I'm gonna let you go, Wendell. I think I sent somebody, one of y'all, that whole like package, that aid package they just sent them and shit like that. And Wendell, I sent you something, I know, because you was like, I don't get this, where the dude was like, how they turning off like these benefits for Americans when they say we ain't got no money, but then they just sent that, you know what I'm saying? So you can go.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of how to word this right. Like the argument that, you know, we've got homeless people over here and people are starving over here. You know, as bad as this is going to sound, it's kind of a small-minded argument, right? Like, and that's not an insult, right? I'm just talking about how geopolitics work, right? And how America has people get upset because they call America the world police, right? America's all got their hands in everything, right? But there's a lot of shit that comes from being in these positions, right? And being the world police, right? Where there's a lot of trade agreements, there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of geopolitical things that we get because of the aid and the money that we give to other people, right? Other countries that we wouldn't get if we weren't, right? And if we didn't get it, your other, you know, quasi superpowers in China or Russia would do it, right? And we see China doing that type of stuff now in Africa, right? Where they're getting to a point where China's going to be a problem, right? China is going to be a serious problem, right? They're building sub bases that are putting them in the Atlantic Ocean, which gives them resources to tap the U.S. if they want to, right? They're all over the country of Africa, and we already know, or I'm sorry, the continent of Africa, and we already know that the continent is rich with resources, right? That's why it's been exploited for so long. And I'm not saying that exploitation is good by any means, but what I'm saying is China's gonna do the same thing if we're not there, right? And again, I really want to stress that I'm not saying that I believe that the exploitation of Africa is a good thing, right? Not what I'm saying at all, or any other country for that matter, not just the countries in Africa. But if the U.S. was not in these positions, China would be, and if China wasn't, Russia would be, right? And then we'd get to a position where now we have China or Russia putting up nukes in Mexico, or putting up or have subs in the Atlantic Ocean, nuclear subs in the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and they can reach out and touch it. So part of the reason that the U.S. has been so successful as an empire is because nobody can really touch us because we're so geographically separated, right? Yeah. But as technology is getting better and the world is getting smaller, like that's getting to be less of a point, right? Okay. So the best thing that you can do as a country is to be in all these other countries, tell them that you're going to provide them aid, which we do, and tell them you're going to provide them military support, which we do, to stop these other quasi superpowers from doing it. Because if they do it, now we're suddenly vulnerable, and we haven't been vulnerable for a long fucking time.
And so to what you said, right? And you're right. That geopolitical, I get what you're saying. I don't disagree with anything that you just said. I want to add to that and ask you a question. My whole thing is this, right? For the average United States citizen, which I am, right? I'm just the regular Joe that walks down the street every day. You see how you just eloquently spoke and you just educated me on some things I didn't know. Why would I care about that? And I'm not trying to be divisive or try to come at you any type of way. But why would I care about that when I walk outside, I see the cops cleaning up tents from homeless people and then just leaving them with nowhere to go? When I'm on the subway and I see 10 cops and they're funding the police, and I see 10 cops arresting one person for jumping the turnstile. Like, I'm very much a overthinker of things, and I try to think further than I can see. But when it's like this, and especially when it's people that look like us, I can only think as far as I can see with stuff like that. So what do you say to that? Like, why would we put so much energy into that for us? Because you're a brother here. We're not taken care of here at all on any level. I understand the security piece of it, and I respect that of us. But to a black man in America, why would I care about that?
So I get your point. I disagree that we're not taken care of on any level here. And I only say that because I've been to third world countries where the government actually doesn't take care of their people in any sense or any form or fashion, right? Now, I agree. We have a long way to go for equality, right? I agree 100% that we're still seeing, shit that you wouldn't expect the supposed greatest country in the world to be dealing with race issues right now, right? But I get your point as well, right? And I had this conversation with my brother. Me and my brother got into it because he made the statement that America is the most racist country in the world. And I completely disagree with that, right? But that's only because I've been to these other countries where I've seen more racism, right? If you go to Brazil, I would say Brazil is 1,000 times more racist than the US. Right now, Brazil may not have the power and the outreach that the US does, right? But if you're talking about Black people in Brazil and the things that they deal with from their country, from their government, like there's no comparison, right? They are 1,000 times worse than we are as Black people in America, right? So to your question, the only thing I would say is, before you make the statement, right? I understand, and it's super hard, right? Like, because passion is it's a drug, right? Like, when you're passionate about something, I mean, it's in your veins, you get it, right? Like, and it's hard to take that breath and say, all right, let me do some unbiased research to see if this point that I'm making is the truth, or if there is some sort of disinformation or disingenuousness in the statement, right? It's hard to do that, but that's what I could say. That's the only thing I could say is, take a breath, take a step back, do the research, and if it comes out that what you're saying is true, then cool. But it's hard. I will say it's hard to look at stuff through an unbiased lens, right? Because you're living that, right? You're experiencing that, right? All you know is what you experience, unless you do the research to find out if that is 100% of the case, or if that's just what you're living in your bubble. And your bubble's very real. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that the bubble's not real. Like, I've lived it too, right? But to step outside of that bubble and gather as much information as possible is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
See, there's also my bad.
No.
Now, I was saying, talking about doing the research, but you also got to be careful. Whose perspective are you looking at? And you're talking about other people's perspective that you're bringing into your own view. A lot of people's perspective isn't necessarily the reality for 100%. Like you said, you only know what you know and what you live through. So depending on what you're looking for as research, you might take, oh, this is the norm, I should get accepted to that because other people are going through. But it's like, no, you're talking about a small percentage of people, like altogether. So if you're talking about, you've seen stuff overseas, I'm talking to you. You're someone that's seen that. I talk to a million other people would say it's something else. So
yeah.
Sure.
Like I guess my thing on the perspective of what Wendell was talking about with the is a short-sighted thing to look at. Well, we got homeless people here. I guess kind of bringing up something else is like I've heard like proposals of how to get rid of homelessness in, say, like, let's say LA, right? And I've heard like detailed proposals of that and how we could build these little small homes for these people, and it'll end up costing the United States like a number, right? A number that they've provided us during the pandemic at a push of a button, that they provided Ukraine at the push of a button, that but they always say we don't have money. I think I just want to make sure I got right what you were saying, Wendell, that basically we have to kind of be like the big brother to all these other countries, or else we will lose these allies to these other powerhouses, and then we will be vulnerable. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, allies and resources.
Right. And I definitely get that. But I just think it's really about, I think this pandemic has shown that it's really about what the government is motivated to just throw money at, man. Because we throw money at the military every year, unnecessary money. At least I know my experience in the military. It's crazy that we spend that much money, and my shit used to never work. Like, if for us to have 100% or even like a good 80% of our inventory working was a miracle, you know what I'm saying? Or it was deployment time and we borrowed some shit from some other people, and they took our broke shit. So
right. So imagine what your working inventory would look like if you didn't have that budget.
I feel you. If you were like just any other country, basically, other than like Russia.
Right.
China,
like, look at Russia. Look at what happened in Russia when they went into Ukraine, right? For all intents and purposes, Russia was considered, probably the third strongest country in the world, like prior to this Ukrainian invasion, right? And like they're not that strong. They've been exposed, right? They've been exposed. They've had this little country, Ukraine, with a for all intents and purposes subpar military, hold them off, right? And not only that, you got to witness the inadequacies of the Russian military. You got to see the inadequacies of the Russian logistics, their supply chain. You saw vehicles in the supply chain breaking down, and you saw a lack of coordination. You had units that were lost in the middle of Ukraine in the middle of a war, right? And we're not talking about a couple units, like, because that happens, right? Obviously, you got that shit happened when we went into Iraq, also, right? But you saw a lot. You saw mass units getting lost, no supply, no food, no ammo. You saw Ukrainian farmers jumping into Russian tanks and turning them on and driving them back to the farm, right? Like, so, it always sounds like it's a super waste for our military budget, but there's a reason for that military budget, right? Like, sure, like you said, like we had a lot of shit that didn't work, it was broken down, but imagine what it would have looked like if we didn't have that budget thrown at it.
I will push back and say that's a hypothetical versus a real thing, which is right outside our door, which I think is not exaggerated by Alan, just because I've noticed a spike just in the last couple of months of seeing homeless motherfuckers at lights, like around here in Jacksonville, like a spike. You feel me?
That what you're saying right there, I think that's where we kind of differentiate a little bit. Is I understand what you're saying as far as like the geopolitical part of it. I look at stuff more on the local side of it and like just the police budget itself. Why is the police budget going up in times like this instead of the root issues of violence? Only thing that giving more money to the police is going to do is going to cause more violence, because now you're taking away from the resources that you could have given people as far as food goes, as far as housing goes, things like that. So I look at things like that, and that's where the word that you used, the passion, that's where my passion is at, because when I walk outside every day, I see it. I'm driving down the street and I have somebody coming up to me begging for change. And it's just like, this is something that looks like that could be me. Like, I'm closer to that than I'm closer to $1 million every single day of my life, no matter what. Most of us are, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I know we left off talking about, we was kind of talking about, the perspective of what we see out here. Cause I definitely, like to reiterate, I definitely see a spike in, I don't know if it's more scammers. I don't know, but I just know I notice it like a lot, you know what I'm saying, in Jacksonville. So it's probably like that in Fayetteville, because I know it's a good amount of, panhandling or whatnot. And hopefully I ain't offend nobody by saying homeless motherfuckers, but I'm just being
How's that offensive?
some people don't like when you call homeless. I've heard unhomed, shit, and all kinds.
I say homeless or street people, one or the other.
But see, my thing is, I've been in that situation, and it don't offend me. So but whatever.
Yeah,
man, this is your pod, man. Say what you got to say.
That is true, man. It's that part, man. Let me talk my shit. But let's move on. It's different perspectives on that, and
hold on. Let me say one more thing to Alan's point. So I agree. We have seen a lot of an uptick of homelessness, right? But I think there's a lot of things that go into that too, right? Like especially the COVID stuff that's been going on for the past 2 years, right? But just to your point, Alan, I agree with you. I do not agree or believe in the militarization of police forces. I think every other westernized, civilized country in the world has shown that militarization of the police force is not necessary to keep crime down. So I definitely agree with you on that. We can agree to disagree on the geopolitics stuff, but I 100% agree with you on the police thing, man.
All right, I'm glad we ain't agreeing on everything, because that would have been a boring episode. Cool, because I was worried about that. That's why we was gonna bring in your peoples.
Yeah,
some of those topics. Let's get into these topics. Even though I think I feel like, just from what I know about every man on here, I feel like some of the stuff we just gonna agree on. But the next topic we're gonna talk about is Kanye West. His behavior, I would say, in the last month or so online, as it pertains to his ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife. They are, I guess, she's legally like divorced from him, but maybe they don't have the assets and all that shit figured out. But she can go date someone and he can't like say shit about it, right?
It's been longer than a month.
Well, months. It's been going. Yeah. Actually, the stuff he's been doing with Pete Davidson. Not that I really care about him, but it's just the stuff he's been doing. I've seen many of black men in particular cape for Kanye West, doing like the whole perspective of, the whole like, yo, I'm gonna fight for my bitch and all this other shit, which is not words I would use, but these are words niggas is using, and the outlook. I want to start with Marcus, actually. Because I feel like Kanye actually has more of a hold, which is crazy, more of a hold on people probably like more your age, even though he mean more to people our age, and that's why we look at him more in disappointment. Is this him fighting for his family, as he puts it, or is this him manipulating, stalking, etc.? I mean, all the stuff that at least I see.
I'm going to say again, you got to look at the perspective of who you're asking. So people my age, I'm 25, going to be 26. College dropout was 2004. I was in elementary school. Some niggas my age literally grew up their entire lives that's their favorite rapper or whatever, idolizing this man. Some people, as we've seen and we talk about on the sports shit all the time, they cannot differentiate between reality and the show, right? So they conflate the two. This man is like celebrity worship to them. He can do no wrong. So you can ask somebody, oh yeah, he's just trying to get his wife back. He's just trying to get his family back. No, he is pulling up, harassing people, putting people in group texts, texting everybody, this, that, the third. She's going on dates, whatever. Anything, but here's where I would draw the line with some of that, right? Anything regarding his kids, I think he 100% has the right to at least inquire knowledge about. I know this one particular incident where he was talking about his daughter's birthday party. They were keeping the information from him so he wouldn't pull up. And some of that is because of, they thought he would come make a scene, things like that. I don't think you can necessarily do that, keep him away from his children without court order, stuff like that. Like, he wants to show up to his daughter's birthday party. I don't feel like you should be withholding shit like that from him. And there's nothing that I think they can say about that. That's the one thing where I can say,
if that's how it happened too, though.
Exactly.
If that's how it happened, because he's such a clown, you don't even know what's real.
He's done some other wild ass shit, like the shit where he put whatever that music video and had like basically an effigy of Pete Davidson in it or whatever. Like, that shit could be seen as threatening. You could say you can get an order, say, look, while they're in the same vicinity, you can't pull up like that. I don't think that that's happened, so I don't think that they're necessarily in the right to do something like that. But I don't know. I think it's just people idolizing Kanye. They don't want him to be seen as the bad guy. Then there's the whole white, black, or whatever, Kardashian versus black men. The whole Kanye Get Out was based on my life shit that he tried to say. Which, but I don't think so, because I don't think they told him have 4 kids with her before you got out. So,
I
don't know, man. I'm not really. I think he's doing a bunch of clown shit, but it gets to a certain point where you do so much shit that they can start using it against you and actually antagonize you, which there might be a little bit of both, because who's to say that she not doing that petty ass shit? Y'all see who the family is. Y'all know what the fuck they be doing.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get Alan and Wendell's perspective, because then I know for me in high school is when College Dropout dropped, and it did mean stuff to me, like the Spaceship. Like that song, those type of songs meant a lot. I let Kanye go a while ago. So I'm not one of these niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? I like to hear y'all perspective on some of this shit too.
Once slavery was a choice, I let him go. I had nothing else for him after right? And like all of it, like I'm never too much into celebrity anyway. I think like a lot of it is just for our entertainment, just for the purpose that we're doing now. Like, they want people to talk about them. Yeah. Like the good, no publicity is bad publicity. That's literally who they are. So for me, it's like, it's a big show and stuff like that. But if I'm going to look at something and take a human perspective of it, I'm going to say, leave your exes alone, everybody, especially men, because, when you look at the stats of women being harmed and, by getting killed, it's always the ex-boyfriend, it's the husband, it's this person, that person. Like, for so long, people used to make OJ jokes, right? And it's just like, yo, when you really sit down and think about what OJ did, OJ murdered his ex-wife and her new boyfriend. You know what I mean?
Allegedly.
OJ did that shit. OJ did that shit. He wrote a book, If I Did It. Like, come on. OJ's a wild nigga.
This nigga, hold on. You remember that video of OJ?
Yeah, when he was like this playing it right. Right. OJ's not all there, bro. So yeah, like stuff like that. Like, I always kind of like side-eye guys on. I don't have any kids, so I can't speak to the co-parenting piece of it. I mean, whatever works for them, that's their business, pretty much. For me,
I'm the only parent.
I will say this part though, as far as like the effigy of Pete Davidson in the music video, that's hip hop, that's rap. That's been happening since forever. You know what I mean? It's like they had the fake Eazy-E running through Compton in 1992. You know what I mean? Like, this is hip hop.
Pete Davidson's not a rapper.
But Pete Davidson is a comedian who said some sick shit himself.
Yeah,
like, he has. I'm not.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
He is not the one to fly a cape for.
Yeah,
Right. But I'm saying,
that's
so like,
funny about his situation too.
right. So I think all of that, to me, I take all of that as just like I feel like all of this is entertainment to them. That they're just pulling everybody. Yeah, absolutely, that's who they are. Oh, look, they just got a new deal at Hulu, and now they got a new reality show. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Everything is just this rollout. You know what I mean?
It's crazy because what is real anymore? Just in life, man. Like for real. But you know what's crazy about the situation is depending on where you stand, you end up defending kind of like you said, like something you would never defend. Like I don't defend the Kardashians one bit, really, for anything that I could think of. Besides, you got the right to get money off your body and whatever else you want, as long as you ain't hurt nobody, you know? It's kind of funny, but Wendell, what's your perspective on Kanye as a whole right at this point in your life and his life and in this particular situation?
So I'm like, yo, man, I wrote Kanye off a long time ago. I got
good to know
homeboys, and I remember when The Life of Pablo came out, and they was all my homeboys. We got a group chat. They're like, yo, y'all heard the album, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nah, I'm not listening to it. Right. Like, because even back then, Kanye was already bugging to me. Right. Like he was already on some wild shit. He was saying crazy shit. And, you know, over the years, I've heard different tracks from The Life of Pablo, but I can honestly say to this day, I've never listened to every single track on The Life of Pablo. So there might be some good shit on there that I've never heard. And I never will, right? Well, hopefully I never will. But I think Kanye lost it a long time ago. You know, I think Kanye was always unhinged, right? Like, because I cracked and I watched 2 episodes of that shit he has on Netflix,
I did too,
right? Because I wasn't gonna watch it.
Yeah. I heard it was good.
I wasn't gonna watch it. My homeboys in that same group chat were talking about it. And I watched 2 episodes of it. But there's even signs of it back then where he was like, it was signs where it was like, yo, this nigga's not, he's a narcissist. He's not really all the way there. He has no social skills, you know, blah, 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 right? And so now seeing this stuff that we're seeing today, right? Like some people call it art. Like one of my homeboys, he's like, oh, you know, he's just an artist. He just, you know, that's just how he expresses himself. And I look at it and I ask him, I'm like, yo, like you can't honestly tell me that you don't see like blatant signs of mental illness here, right? Like, and to me, I've had, they're no longer here anymore, but I've had family members that were mentally ill, right? Like, so to me, it's not a joke, right? It's not art. It's not a joke. Like you deserve treatment. And so when I see that, I can't glorify it, right? Like, and he has said himself that he's mentally ill and he refuses treatment because for whatever reason, he refuses treatment, right? But it
lowers his creativity, so to speak.
Yeah, but then he glorifies that. He says shit like, what was the line in the track?
He said it's his superpower.
Yeah, he said it was a superpower. But there was one track where he was like, I won't I'll think of it because it's actually a pretty dope line. It was in that track with The Game. What's that track they came out with?
I know what you're talking about. I still haven't listened to that, even though everyone's told me it's fire.
Yeah, and only reason I heard it because it came on Shade 405 while I was riding home one day. But he said something along the lines of like he's not going to listen to his doctor, basically, right? And so, like the majority of mental illnesses are degenerative, right? It's not like it's going to just suddenly get better. And I think we've seen that with Kanye over the years. And so, yeah, I can't support him. I think what he's doing is consistent with torture or terroristic behavior towards, Kim. So, yeah.
Let me just really quick respond to that real quick. What you just said about mental illness not being a joke for me, I don't really talk about this out loud too much. I'm in therapy. I go to a psychiatrist. I'm on medication. So like for me, when I hear people use it as an excuse for things, I always give them that side eye, like, get the fuck out of here. Because, and listen, everybody's different. and it affects everybody differently. So I'm not going to act like I could throw a blanket over mental illness or mental health and just say, oh, because it's treating me this way when I'm on my medication and I'm like this. It took me a while to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like I used to have fits where like, yo, I want to punch the wall just to punch the wall because, you know, that was my way of expressing whatever it was that I was feeling. So I don't like when people make that their identity and try to make it seem like, because especially on that level of a platform, because now he has other people that might be going through some shit. Oh, fuck my medication, fuck my doctors.
Yep.
No, go to your doctor, go to therapy, go to your psychiatrist, please take your medication.
Yeah,
absolutely. Being manic is not cool.
Yeah. It was funny is I went to therapy this morning, you know what I'm saying? I be openly trying to tell people, talk about that like it's going to the doctor for a cold, because we need to normalize it. Because I think like most of us probably should be in therapy, even if it's just preventive maintenance, you know what I mean? So I'm big on that. And sometimes with Kanye, I just choose to ignore him, and not even like, even if it's just something like just talking about him on social media, it's just like kind of see what he does, and I kind of ignore him for the most part because he has said he's bipolar. So I'm gonna just assume that he's telling the truth, right? That he's bipolar. He's been diagnosed that. That's not an excuse though. Like I have PTSD, like y'all know from me talking about it, I have PTSD. That's not an excuse for me to go beat up bitches, you know what I'm saying? Or whoever, you know what I'm saying? Just go beat up whoever. Because I know that I have it and I understand it. To me, if you understand what you have, then you have to be held accountable to some extent. Like, yeah, like me, like I might get irritated and I might be an asshole, right? I feel like that's like the grace I have, but I can't take it to another level, you know what I'm saying? And I can't be like that all the time either. So to me, like when people make the excuse of he's trying to keep his family together, he's just being a father. Like one of the things I agree with him on is the whole like his daughter being on TikTok, because I ain't want my kids on social media as early as they did. But the situation I'm in, it don't really matter what I think. You know what I'm saying? So I get but that, guess what? That's none of our business. That's the thing I don't fuck with. Like you're
right. You didn't make like a public video and be like, yo, my ex-wife is letting my daughter on TikTok, you know, and I don't appreciate
that's bringing more attention to it anyway. You know what I mean? Which makes me feel like all of it is entertainment. Like
it's
manipulation. It's gonna make these weirdos go watch it.
Followers.
Right.
It's gonna make your crazy ass followers and basically sicking them on her and her mentions and all that shit like that. It's calculated. It's all calculated.
Yeah. And the thing is, the reason why I chose us to talk about this, or I think Wendell might have brought it up, I'm not sure, but I chose to talk about this. It's not about the celebrity of it. It's about the actions, like the toxicity, the fucking what's the word? I can't even think of it, but just the whole where I see these guys like, yo, what's wrong with him trying to get his woman back, his wife back, or you know, it's just like, dog, like y'all really think like that, like at your age, like still, like you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't understand that.
Right. She's made it very clear that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. So fucking if you still want to have a relationship with the kids, understandable, and you should, but what you're doing is making you look more crazy than maybe you really are, but maybe not. And it's not going to help you have a relationship with the kids. So at that point, then it turns into, okay, now you're just, and I hate this phrase because I hate how it's generally used, but now it's just the toxic masculinity, right? Like where you're just trying to throw your manness around and use that as an excuse to be manipulative, torturous, sick your fans on this woman and her new boyfriend, blah blah blah.
And we can end it on this. The thing, yo, like everything that's going on, we wouldn't know about if it wasn't for him. Like that's the thing that I don't understand. Like people who are caping for him. Like, dude, everyone has issues, and whether it's with, you know, the mother, the child, or family stuff, whatever, everyone has issues. That don't mean it's for us to know. And the thing is, you wanting us to know is manipulation just off the top. You know what I'm saying? What it feels like to me once he started doing this is it's that rich lame shit. It's that dude who was lame and thought, oh, I'm gonna get money and this is gonna give me a girl, or I'm gonna get this car, this is gonna give me a girl, or I'm gonna do this is gonna give me a girl. And he realized you got fucking Pete Davidson over here, fucking weird looking motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
You got him, and at least for now, even though I think I can't take anything Kim does as genuine, I think that shit is over. It's gonna have its season and it'll be over, right? But you got Pete Davidson, you looking at him, definitely not a billionaire, definitely not even a guy we look at as like a cool dude. Like no one's like, yo, I want to be like Pete Davidson. None of us at least. And he's got your girl. I mean, she's not your girl no more. Your ex-wife. He got her. You got all that money. And she's still on him and not you. And you got his kids. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to simple shit like you just a lame with money.
You were a cornball before, and you're a cornball still, even though you got all this money.
What you just said about the ex thing too, I think a lot of times with the ego comes, how dare me lose a woman if I didn't tell her to get gone? You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, you left me? How dare you? Like, so just even that processing, I'm this person that's up here that's worshipped by all. How's the person I'm sleeping next to not worshiping me in the same vein? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that type of thing too. So I think when people get to that, that's why I've always said celebrity scares the shit out of me. Like, if I could, I would take back everything I've ever done and I would be anonymous forever, where people don't know who I am. I just put stuff out because I've seen so many people change because of celebrity. And it's just like, wow, I don't want anybody, especially myself, to ever look at yourself in the mirror and become unrecognizable to you. And I think that that's what happens with money, with the fame, because you have all these people kissing your ass. It's almost like a cult-like thing.
It really
where
is.
People, no matter what he does, look at the clothes that this guy puts out.
His clothes are trash. Every now and then he has a sneaker that's dope.
He puts out whatever he wants and people gobble it up. And it's just like
$500.
So at that point, he literally thinks, I'm a god, whatever that's silly shit that he's on. You know what I mean? It's like he believes it. And I think he's a reflection of Hollywood, bro. Like, I don't think he's a reflection of that.
But I think that goes back to Ant's point about him being a cornball in the first place, right? Like, because there's some people, that we see, and at least for as far as we see, that's not the persona that we get, right? Like, but then there's other people like Kanye who, when they get that fame, that money, then they want to throw it all over the place, right? Like when I think he was on the Drink Champs podcast, and he talked about how he put all these celebrities in a group chat and told them how rich he was. He had more money than them, right? Like, all right, but you're still a cornball. Like that's you cornball shit.
That's my thing with him. It's like, dog, you did all that. Dog, I know dudes who ain't got shit and they can pull women and they keep a woman, keep a baddie. And then you got these cornball ass niggas that do everything to get money and get certain things to get women. And at the end of the day, dog, like they'll say, like, you have a motherfucker, a celebrity in LA, a pro athlete, his woman is fucking with him, but then she's fucking a gangbanger too. Like, dog, that money shit ain't gonna keep her, to be honest. It ain't gonna keep her loyal. They ain't gonna
you're a
keep her there.
cornball, you're a cornball, man. If you ain't got no game, you ain't got no game. Hey, there's one more thing I want to say about Kanye before we leave, man. Kanye West does not care about black women.
And stay away from our black women, because honestly, keep going to the Kim carbon copies. I don't want to see him with a black woman. To be honest, I'm just being real. I'm not pandering to none.
The last black woman we saw Kanye with was the chick that was with him through the wire. He told her pops he was gonna marry him. Right? We haven't seen Kanye with a black woman since then, right? And so this is another thing that I talk to my boys about, because they all super like pro black, and I'm like, but how can you worship this man that doesn't like black women? Like, he goes out of his way to date white women, nothing but white women, and then even says in his tracks, like I got a badass white bitch, blah 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 blah, right?
Like it's a trophy,
right? Like it's a trophy, right? Like so, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm
That's
with you
the
on
last
that
thing I got anything to say about it.
Because I definitely, I'm down for the, you know, date who you want, but when you specifically,
right,
and then you flaunt it as if it's because y'all know I dated that one pilgrim that one time, and after that I said I'd never do it again. But I never was like, look at this, look at my pilgrim,
right.
check out this pilgrim I just bagged. It was just like,
Do you do this joint?
huh?
I'm proud of my white wife.
Hell yeah.
Hey, and look, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I date white women too, right? But I don't date exclusively white women, right?
You don't talk shit about black women while you
nah, hell no. As a matter of fact, I dated this excuse me, I dated this white chick I guess it was about 6-7 months ago. And she was cool. She was a real cool chick. We were talking one night, and she asked me, she was like, why do you like me? I was like, I don't know, what kind of question is this? Like, what are you talking about? She's like, well,
a woman question.
She was like, I just want to make sure that it's not because, you know, you got your, you know, your white trophy now, right? And I was like, what? I was like, look, I was like,
get over yourself.
Yeah. I was like, look, I've dated all kinds of women, right? Like I've dated the most gorgeous black women, better looking than you. And I've dated white women. I've dated Spanish women. Like I said, my mother is black. My sister is black. I was like, what makes you think that I don't like black women? Like, what makes you think that I think you're more beautiful than them? And she was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I'm like, you kind of did, because that's why you asked the question. But regardless, it is what it is, right? Like, so, yeah. Look, no hate. If you're married to a white woman, if you date white women, all good. But when you exclusively date white women and you don't date any other race and you hold that white woman as like a trophy, I have a problem with it.
I can't date white women.
I would never do it again.
I can't do it because of the cultural differences and the conversations to have with them. You know what I mean? They don't understand my plight completely. They don't really get me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I know that there's somebody in their family that fucking hates my guts, no matter what. And I don't want to
that too.
You know what I'm saying? And I never want to be next to or near that. So it's like, if I can just keep myself out of it. And it's not like, not only that, I love black women. So it's like, you know what I mean? I love, you ever seen, I'm not going to go crazy about it, but you know, like, so it's like.
You seen Keisha and Belly laying on that bed,
and
glistening.
And it's crazy. The white women that a lot of us fawn over have black woman features. So it's just like,
that's to me like when I was like, I don't get this. It's like when a woman is gay, but then dates a woman that looks like a dude. And I never get that because I'm like, you could just do that.
I think
that's how I feel. And that's how I feel.
That's an emotional thing more than it is a physical thing. I think that might be that. I can't speak for them. I'm not a lesbian. I don't know. But like, I would assume that that's more of an emotional thing. For me, just looking at like, why would I want it's not even a carbon copy, it's the blind copy of a black woman when I can just literally go right here and go get myself one of mine. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I just never understood.
I just want to point out, every last one of us on here sat here and said, yeah, I don't see a problem with it, and then listed every single problem with it. Yes, we do see a fucking problem with it. Yeah. Call it what it is.
I didn't say that.
It's a fucking problem.
I definitely have a problem.
I didn't say that.
I'd have a problem with it. Definitely.
I didn't say that.
I don't have a problem with others.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it in general. My only
I don't have a problem I don't have a problem for anybody else.
Is if it's exclusive. If you say you only date white women, then I have a problem with it, right? Like, but if you end up dating a white woman in the mix of, you dated a black woman and Spanish woman, whatever, Arabic woman, blah blah blah, and then this one just happens to be white. Cool. If y'all match or Asian or whatever, if y'all match and that's the person you fall in love with, cool. But when you go out of your way to only date white women, then I have a problem with it.
Yeah. And,
if you're a man that has the option between a non-white woman and a white woman, and you choose a white woman,
whoa.
You'll never get that. Wow, you look so good together for me.
It depends on the situation. It depends on the situation, though, right? Like, what if you met these two women at the same time? One's black, one's white. And then who knows? Maybe there's different things. Maybe
I'm gonna share my experience, right? Like, because I had told you, I think on your episode that we did, Wendell, I think I was like, I'll never.
Yeah.
We never had to dive into that. And we got like, as far as that 40-minute thing, we got 8 minutes before I'm gonna have to send another link. So just if I shut everything down quick, y'all know that's why, and I'll send it back. But like when Alan was talking and all y'all was talking, I just started making me think, because I know I can never do it again, right? With a white woman. And my thing is this. White women or particular certain Hispanic people, you have to really investigate certain stuff that they believe, because they are basically just Spanish speaking white people. Same thing with Asians. I'm saying some. And let me explain, because if you act like, I got a Dominican homegirl and she kicks me the shit about like Cubans and how they're South Florida Cubans, they're basically white people. Like, as far as what we need to watch out for. And so I dated a Mexican. So I dated black women my whole life up until I was like, I don't know, maybe like 30 something. Then I dated a Mexican woman and then a white woman. And then I was like, yeah, I'm good. Because every situation I had some kind of racial situation happen where they either didn't understand something or something happened. With the white girl, when all the riots and the protesting was happening, right? Her mom works for like the transit here or something like that. And for whatever reason, they were diverting routes. And for some reason, they took the people who normally work in the office and had them out on the streets in like their little vehicles with the little lights, not the red and blue lights, but like the yellow and whatever lights. And for whatever reason, they thought that was a good idea. And her mom is like one of the only white people that work in that motherfucker, right? And her mom, just for perspective and context, her mom's married to a black dude. He's a piece of shit, but she is married to a black dude. Anyway, some people were harassing her mom, like, fuck you, whatever, because, shit was thick around that time. Dog, around that time in my house, the tension, you could feel it. And we didn't have any beef, but I know how I felt, and I know the energy that I was probably putting out. And then I remember one day she came home and was like mad, upset because of the shit that happened with her mom and all this other. It was a few things. I don't even remember all of it. And she said something and she corrected herself and was like, it was like I was about to be like, well, that's how black people feel every day type of shit. And like right when I was saying that, she was like, but I guess that's how, black people, always feel. And I was just like, yo, that whole situation with her mom, I was like, I have no empathy to give your mom right now. My blackness cannot give your mom any empathy right now. She's just a white woman to me right now. In this moment, I don't give a fuck that she got harassed for one day as opposed to the shit that's happening to us all the time. You know what I'm saying? And not just that wasn't the only thing, but in the back of my mind, I always felt like, am I doing something wrong? Like I felt that way, like throughout the relationship. And so
your
once
Negro
that was over,
made you feel guilty.
Huh?
I said your Negro senses made you feel guilty.
It had to be, you know what I'm saying? And so and this is a woman because I also was like, all right, who are her friends? She has black friends. She grew up around black people. Like I said, her stepdad's black, but that nigga's a piece of shit. But whatever. And still, it was like, no, that's not enough, dog. That's not enough, because in the long run, the stuff that we go through and we understand, I'd have to explain to her. You know what I'm saying? You have to get it. And you got to want to get that shit too. It's second nature to us. Like I've been with a white woman in a neighborhood and we looking for something, and it's obvious she don't really know what she's like, where to go. And I'm like, dog, we can't be riding around this rich ass neighborhood not knowing where the fuck we're going. And she don't even understand that shit. Because I don't want to draw that attention. You know what I'm saying? And that's something you would not have to explain to a black person. So it's stuff like that to where it's like, I don't have a problem. Like I seriously don't with anyone. And I used to think, well, if I, fall in love with a white woman or whatever, or a different kind of woman other than black woman, cool. But at this point in my life, I know, no, they could never completely make me like, well, not make me whole, but that relationship could never be. It's almost like with religion, unequal yoke. It's like that to me.
So question for you.
We got like 3 minutes.
Yeah. I'm gonna get this question off quick. So, let's say it was a black woman that didn't necessarily, grow up with that situation, right? Like, so whether she be from suburbs or out of the
I
country,
dated one like that.
Out of the country, right? Does that change your perspective on that? Are you willing to educate her more on that situation, is it?
You mean as far as how I said, like, I'd have to sit there and explain that I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's different. That's a good point, right? That is a good point. I mean, obviously, I'm saying that I'm gonna be with a black woman, and I'm pretty sure I am very sure the one I'm with is the one I'm gonna be with anyway. But if I could just take that out, I mean, of course, I would educate her and stuff like that. But I guess I was like more frustrated, like, damn, you just don't get me. Like, naturally, you just don't get me. As opposed to if I was with a black woman, these things, these cultural things, they would just get. And I'm just saying it doesn't work for me. Yeah. Like the extra explaining and stuff. Like,
sure.
I teach people, like, I would hope you learn from your mate, your partner, but I don't want to have to teach you everything. Basically, life shit, like just everyday type shit.
But that's my point. So if it was a black woman that you did have to teach because she didn't experience that.
I would have to do that, but I realized that with the white women, I was just like, I see your point you're making.
So with somebody, so with a black woman, it would be something that you would be willing to put the time and effort into educating her on, or trying to help her experience your point. But with a white woman, you wouldn't.
You know what? He's shaking his head, and now that I think about it, like, if I had to explain to you, like, why we can't do X, Y, Z, or we shouldn't do X, Y, Z, maybe we not meant to. What's up, Mark? You got something?
Nah, I'm just saying the only difference with that is you're talking about a black woman, maybe from another culture. You're bringing her over here, assumingly implanting her into this culture, things that could happen to her that she could have to experience and deal with. Whether you explain to that white girl or not, she won't. That's the difference. Like, it could still happen to her, or things could still involve her in that capacity. Fair. So I take the time to explain that to her because it still involves her just because of the color of her skin. Right. That's the reality we live in.
That's fair.
I'm shaking my head no, just because I just don't have the energy to be doing all of that. I'm being honest. Like, I don't have it. I'm 38 years old, dude. Like, I don't have it in me.
That shit gets exhausting after a while. Because trust me, the white girl, she was also younger than me, and I normally don't do that shit. And that was another thing. So when I gotta explain all these references that y'all would get, that everybody that's black would get,
I don't want to have to explain Martin to somebody, right? Like, I don't want to have to do that.
Let's enjoy an intermission.
You shake that. Well, maybe this is what it is. Nah, once you see better, it's like, nah, that ain't it, nigga.
In regards to what you mean?
Because he was saying, like, he grew up around, like, predominantly white people, and so he grew up.
Well, that's how.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I grew up out here outside of Charlotte. It's like 86% white population. So in all the schools and shit like that, oftentimes it's one or two black kids in the in the classroom with me. So it's like you see things like growing up, like I said, from the ground up all the way through. It'll never be it to me, ever.
I get it.
It was funny because I had this like ignorant perspective of even trying to talk to someone that wasn't black, and then eventually somewhere in my mid to late 20s, I was like, you know what? At some point, like, maybe I'll give that a go, but I just don't want it to be like, oh, this is a science project. Like, I don't want it to be some experiment of like, let's see if a non-black woman is just different. Like some people say, oh, I want to see if the sex is different. I mean, I'm not going to treat nobody like that. So I made sure that ain't in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because that's bullshit regardless who it is.
That's kind of what I did, though. I could be honest and say that's what I did growing up. And that's why I said
growing up is one thought.
Once you find out, it's like, you got to know better.
But even now, right, for that experience, if y'all are honest about it with each other, I'm not saying we are, but if people have that conversation and they're honest about it, like, hey, I want to try this, I want to try that, so be it. I think that part of it is always lost, where people aren't honest with each other up front and shit.
Yo, where's the line between...
Hold on.
Where's the line... What's
I
up?
came in late. Well, what's the conversation? What are we talking
Nah,
about?
we were just talking. We were
It's
just
hard.
bullshitting.
Yeah, because Marcus started talking about growing up with certain white women, and he knew that he wasn't going to be fucking with them because he's seen them from the ground up. But where's the line between like fetishizing, as people call it? I don't know how to word this question, but like,
And like
I
what,
find it
having a
hard
type?
to really, yeah. There you go. Like having a type, like, yo, let's say there's a white guy. You probably know a white Chris that is one of us, kind of in heart, and only dates black women. Where's the line between that and fetish size? I can never say that word, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if I know where that line is. You know what I'm saying? Between like a type and just, oh, I want to fuck this black woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's any difference. I don't know if it's any difference.
I think fetishizing is when it's strictly sexual, right? Like, if you have no desire, like, so I have a homeboy, like, his name is Mark. I call him my little brother, man. He's cool as shit. White boy only likes black women, to the point where, like, it would be times we go out and we meet a white girl and a black girl, and he would instantly just go for the black girl. Like, even if she wasn't as good looking as the white chick, that's what he wanted, right? But I think it's a fetish if it's only sexual, right? Like, if you have no intentions of trying to start a relationship with this person, or if you don't see yourself marrying this person, a legitimate marriage, not just a marriage where you're just using them for sex, right? Like, that's where I think the line is drawn, right? Like, if you actually feel like you're committing to this person and it's, you know, a real romantic relationship, then I wouldn't call it a fetish, right? I think that's just your type. You just like black women. Mm-hmm. But if it's just like, oh, black women just got fat asses, and I'm just trying to knock down all the black chicks I see, I have no intentions on marrying these chicks or whatever. I have no intentions on knowing her culture or her family or anything like that. It's just I'm attracted to black women. I want to fuck all these black women. Then it's a fetish.
Okay.
And on the flip side of that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, on the flip side of that, you talking about the women. You know, you got the white women that just, oh, I want the mixed kids with the light skin, green eyes, curly hair. Basically want an Instagram baby. Run.
Instagram.
Put on your track shoes. Run.
Hey, have y'all noticed that a lot of the NBA, the younger guys, there are a lot of mixed guys, and a lot of the mixed guys only date white women or very light-skinned women. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that. And someone, I think Marcus might have tweeted it or retweeted it, but someone had something about like, yo, what if in 20 years the NBA will be all white, kind of, because, or all mixed, because this just keeps happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's
not
very
20
possible.
years, but I think that, you know, there is something about the fetishizing, like you said, the lighter skin. It's kind of, you know, in the spirit of anti-blackness, it's a little bit of a erasure type of thing. I don't necessarily support it, but you can only do so much about that on a wide scale basis. They're going to do whatever they want to do. They're fucking athletes.
Yeah, but it's real. I
noticed nothing new either.
I noticed it a lot too. Like, I don't have to dig to find it. I see it. Like, even like someone like Julius Randle, he's married a white woman. I don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just noticed this trend is going. You know, it's up to you.
Want to talk about Deshaun Watson? 22 women aren't lying. Yes. Straight like that. 22 women aren't lying, right? And I look at it this way, and I'm a guy that can be put in that situation at any given time. Oh my God, this woman is lying on me, right? Mm-hmm. But more often than not, they're not. They're telling the truth. And a lot of times women are scared to go to the police. Women are scared to speak up because of that very thing that men automatically do. And as a guy, I'm not speaking for y'all, I'm speaking for myself and for guys that I've had conversations with. And obviously you guys are going to speak your piece as well. But like, it's that fear of being, you know, accused of something you didn't do. That's why guys are so quick to say, no, well, she could be lying. And it's just like, all right, this is how I look at it. And I'm looking at this again as a person that's 38 years old. I'm not looking at it as an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? When I was 18, I would probably said the same thing. Oh no, she's probably lying, because again, of that quote unquote fear. But what's worse to be feared? Somebody lying on you, or somebody not believing you after somebody did some nasty shit to you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm always going to lean towards the side of believing women. It doesn't have to be women within my proxy for me to believe them. And I've been around enough pro athletes to know what kind of nasty niggas these niggas are. You know, they look at Darren Sharper, handsome dude. You know what I'm saying? Could have gotten any woman he wanted to, but what was it about? People have to understand it's not just this, I can get any, it's the power play of it all. It's the, you know what I'm saying? We talk about fetishes. That's a fetish to some people where they have to take it as opposed to be, you know, they have to coerce it out of a woman as opposed to courting a woman for it. So I think that I'm always going to side with believing women. Unless I'm there, unless I was there, I have nothing else but to believe the woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So just to be clear, I wanted to talk about this, not particularly because of him, but as a general thing, because even something like, I'm pointing to celebrity shit just because everyone's familiar with, but even something like Meg Thee Stallion, right? Or, you know what? Not even her. Let's just take it off women. Jussie, right? When you hear something that doesn't sound right? Like this is, I think it's only online, to be honest, and not in real life, but there's this whole, you just supposed to believe them. See, I'm with the, we can wait till the facts come out thing. And I'm also with the, like, just because they didn't charge you doesn't mean you didn't do it. They just didn't have enough evidence to actually charge you. Like, that's my way of thinking. But I'm also with, if you tell me a story and it sounds like bullshit, it sounds like bullshit until proven otherwise too.
The Jussie story sounded like, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Juicy, right? Jussie, his story always sounded like bullshit to me, right? But at the same time, I wasn't going to be quick to persecute him because how many times do cops get away with lying about shit too? So like, that was my take on it. Like, yes, listen, what he did was wrong, but if we're locking people up for lying, you know how many niggas belong in jail right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's how I looked at it. So it's like, yes, what he did, he's a bozo. He should get public shame for it. We should all ostracize him from our community for like, excommunicate him for like a year and just, you know, stay over there for a while and then we'll welcome you back. But
I did
like,
think the public shame was enough of a punishment. And him probably not being able to get any kind of really good work. That was
he's gonna come back. I think he's gonna end up getting a job. Somebody's gonna give him a job because the people that worked with him love him. You know what I mean? So you're always gonna end up getting the job. I mean, look, I always make the joke about Robert Downey Jr. and Bobby Brown. Like, if Robert Downey Jr. was black, his name would be Bobby Brown. Like, that's just what it is. Like, they would have thrown him out. They would have thrown him out of here a long time ago. You know what I mean?
But now, if you're white, he's Iron Man, motherfucker.
Right. Yeah, he's Iron Man now. So it's like they're always gonna get a second chance, and I think that he's gonna get another chance. I just think that, to what you said, as far as like waiting for the facts and stuff, and this is where I have to ask this question: why is it that we wait for the facts with certain things, but like we know how much we know how much bullshit the police and that system spew out of their mouths. So the facts that they give aren't really actual facts. Yeah. So it's like, it's more sometimes of us just having to use common sense to piece stuff together. And the court of public opinion is always going to be what it is before the court of law. You know what I mean? So,
well, I'll explain. And Wendell, you look like you got a lot to say from what Alan, and I'm gonna get to you because I want to frame some stuff. When I say like wait for the facts, an example being like the Meg Thee Stallion and Tory thing. When I first heard it, I'm like, she said the nigga shot her. I'm like, why would she lie, right? The facts coming out now is he ain't have gunpowder residue, but the friend did, and there's witnesses and all that stuff. That's what I mean by like, I'd rather wait for like the initial report that, yo, this person got shot. I'd rather wait before saying, yo, Tory's a piece of shit. I'll say Tory's a piece of shit if he shot her. And let's wait for this shit to come out. You know what I'm saying? Now, Wendell, well, what I will say is I wanted to talk about this because there's guys I know and I actually at least at some point either still respect or did respect. When this topic comes up, excuse me, when this topic comes up, they are the guys that's like, I know someone who got lied on. All right. I have a problem with that being your first go-to to like a woman saying like they got raped or something like that. I have a problem with that. It rubs me the wrong way because you start to sound more like those guys that we don't want to be like, which is the guys that are either believe women or just sex toys for us, or they just think that all women are aligned with that shit. So Wendell, what is your I wanted to hear your perspective on, should we I think we all know we shouldn't blindly believe. If something sounds like bullshit, then it sounds like bullshit. But what is your outlook on this stuff?
Yeah.
And what
so
Alan said, because you look like you had something you wanted to say when you was talking.
Yeah. So I disagree wholeheartedly. And to your point, I do know a couple people that have been lied on. But that's not my first go-to, right? Like, I just think one, especially as Black men, how this particular accusation has been weaponized through centuries, right, should give most Black men pause to wait for the facts, right? And I'm not the type that's like, I don't say, oh, she's automatically lying if the accusation comes out. I'm just not the type that's going to condemn a person based on only her word, right? I want the facts to come out. And that's the key point that I want to hear. Facts, right? Like, if something happened 3 years ago, like, let's be realistic, the facts are going to be limited, right? So now we're getting to a point of he said, she said. So my thing is, what makes her word so much more valuable than his word in this situation, right? Unless there's witnesses, unless there's physical evidence, if she went and got a rape kit done, whatever, right? Once we're at the point where it's a word versus a word, I have a complete problem, because this is what I've learned. And Alan keeps saying he's 38. I'm 39, right? Like, I'm not a young dude. I've seen a lot of this shit, especially in the military. I've seen a lot of this shit happen, right? What it comes down to is one person's word versus another word, right? And again, like, what makes that word so much more valuable than this person's word?
Usually, right? Is your biasness to the person.
Right. I've been lied on, though. That's the thing. Right? I'm a guy that's been lied on. You know what I mean? And I had to go to court for that. And I had to, like, sit there and prove my innocence about it. So even me having that, I still put my empathy before I put, you know what, man, that did that to me. And now I got to look at it. And I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to disagree with the facts and this. But I also think about it this way. How many women are ashamed to go get that rape kit done? How many women are ashamed to even bring it up the day after it happened, 3 days after it happened, until it's like, okay, say, knock on wood, it was person A, and person A is about to go receive an award. And how fucking triggering it is for them to be sitting at home and watching this person be celebrated all the time. And it's just like, you know what? They can't even stomach it anymore, because they're seeing this person put on a fucking plateau that, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that triggered them to come out and speak out 3 years later. You know what I'm saying? So I also look at the factors of that.
Sure.
And so even for me, like, this happened to me when I was in college, and this woman straight up lied. I wasn't even at the party. I wasn't even there. You know what I mean? And obviously it got proven that I wasn't there and stuff like that, because they had whatever. So, you know, I always just go to that. And it's not just because of women that I know that like, see, the same way that we talk about how guys that we know that have been lied on, I know women that haven't been believed before. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that part of it too. And with this, and I'll be the first one to admit it, with this, it's very hard for me to think logically as opposed to emotionally with it, because of, I know the pain that these women are in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'll be the first to admit that.
And Wendell, you remember that DM back and forth we were having about Bill Cosby? And the reason why I kind of reacted like that is because you were honing in on like one thing. And I when he said the emotion thing, that's where I come from with that shit. Like, I, in my heart, know fucking Bill Cosby done drugged some women and raped them. In my heart, I believe that. Okay. I don't care about the particulars of if he said this or this one part isn't true. It's more like, it's an emotional thing for me. Not sure. And you know what? I kind of hate when fathers be like, well, I got daughters. You shouldn't have to have a daughter to empathize with someone being,
I agree,
taken advantage of, dog.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's very emotional for me, because I've dated, man, like a lot of women who've been raped, and then I know so many, and you wouldn't know unless you were close to them. But it's just like, it's ridiculous. And that's just the women I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had this conversation with my brother because I'm like, dude, the stats say the percentages is like, it's like less than 1% of women make this shit up.
Where are the stats coming from, though? Right? Like, because you had to wait. I
don't know. I mean, I can go do some research.
Right? Like, you had to look at the overarching point of the claim too, right? Like, if the majority of women aren't telling people that they've been raped, then where is this stat coming from? That
I'm sure they're doing surveys and stuff and saying, "Have you ever been raped?" And like, then there's the question of, "Did you report it?" And is that's what I'm assuming is from. I don't have anything right in front of me to quote. But that's where I am, right? Like,
I'm a super logical person. Like, I want like facts, right? So when I hear stuff like that, to me, I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, that's what you're saying, but like, where are these stats coming from, right? Like, because you're also telling me that most women don't report these things, right? So, like, don't get me wrong, I sympathize with women that have been raped, and while I've been dating, like, I've talked to women that have told me horror stories about how men talk to them and how men treat them. I do not know anybody personally, any females that have been personally raped, right? So that might be another thing that is stopping me from like truly like empathizing completely, right? But I do know men that have been falsely accused, right? So I don't know, man. Like,
let me ask
my
you
thing is,
Wendell.
I feel like we should tell
Wendell.
women to go ahead.
Oh, my bad. No, get your.
I feel like I get it, right? There's a stigma to rape, right? But I feel like, I don't know, if and when I have daughters, like, my thing is going to be like, like, look, this is something that might happen to you in your life, right? And if it does fucking happen to you, I swear, I hope it does not. If it does happen to you, let's go to somebody. Let's get the fucking rape kit done, or you tell me about it, whatever, so that shit could get handled, as opposed to waiting 3 years.
That's not how it works.
But see, Wendell, you're taking a logical approach. So
I'm very logical. Like I told you,
that's way too logical for an emotion. That's a super traumatic, psychological traumatic thing for something to happen to somebody. I know. All right, perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example. And let's take women out of it for a second. Let's just talk rape in general, because it happens to men as well. And obviously not at the rate that it happens to women, but it happens to men as well.
And they don't report.
And they don't report it either, right?
A crazier rate.
I know some dudes play basketball whose basketball coaches were doing some nasty man shit to them. You know what I'm saying? Touching them, such and such like that, right? Mm-hmm. And they never reported it till 25 years later, when this coach was being honored. And that's why I brought up that situation about seeing somebody on a plateau and stuff like that. So it was when the coach was being honored, that's when they decided to speak out and say, nah, this man, he fucking ruined my entire life. And these people never brought it up to family members. Regardless of how you parent your child, that child, it doesn't matter. You can try to prepare your kid for any situation in the world. Until they get out there and actually experience it and feel it, you can't tell them how they're going to react to it, how they're going to feel safe. You're a man. Now they might not feel safe coming to any man about anything, no matter how you parented your child. So it's not so easy as, hey, I'm going to give you the tools for this so we can go fix that. It's never going to be that easy. I wish life was that easy.
I get that.
Never going to be that
I
easy.
get that. I totally get that. But my point is, like, now you're getting to a point where you're condemning and putting somebody in prison over something that there is absolutely no proof over other than somebody's word, right? And to me, now if there's proof, right?
Yeah,
like,
I
cool.
think
If there's proof, then go. But if there's no proof and it's just an accusation, because this is another thing, right? Like, once the accusation is out there, whether it's true or not, like, that is just as damaging as if it was 100% true.
Yes and no, because Freddie Gibbs went through that same thing, and
he was as damaging. I don't agree with that.
Right, he's not just as damaging, because Freddie Gibbs went through that accusation. He was locked up abroad because of it, and he got proven that it was false. that stain is not on him right now. And obviously this is a famous person, so it kind of like you get that a little bit more grace than a regular 9-to-5 dude might get. But at the same time, I think the shame of that, right? If all things were equal, and I'm sorry for saying this, but like if all things were equal, I would say people that falsely accused belong in jail too, right? Like if we want to do it that way. Okay, and that's 100%. Perfectly fine if we want to say that. But I'm not even looking at just the prison time part of it, the sentencing part of it. I'm talking about the shame of people even bringing the shit up.
Yeah.
People can't talk about these things. That's some shit that every woman that I've ever dealt with, every woman that I know has somehow, some way been sexually assaulted one way or the other. Whether it's some dude grabbing their butt on the train, whether it's some dude pulling on them, grabbing on them, something. And there's some stories that even go far beyond that. So it's like we can't. Yes. So it's like it makes it way easier for me to believe women than it goes like I can't do that. I can't do that.
I think everyone on here is like a logical man or whatever. So maybe I shouldn't have put the whole blindly thing, because that's not really what I wanted to focus on as much as just having empathy. And if there's evidence, like if there's evidence, and if it's just she said it, he said it, and there's no way to prove it, then like for me, it's I just reserve the right to be like indifferent about it. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not afraid to say I don't know, you know what I'm saying, about stuff. And most of the times when these things come out, you don't know until if there is a trial or whatever, you know what I mean? But I want to kind of switch the focus of this topic, and I want to talk to Marcus, because you were like the more recent been in college person on here. And I want to talk about how do we address because on like Twitter and shit like that, I see this whole like y'all be having like rapist friends, right? And you don't ever, right? Which I feel like in reality, that's not real. But I want to see what y'all got to say. And I want to go to you first, Marcus, because I know in college, it's a hotbed for like rape, sexual assault because of drinking. I mean, just bad choice, being immature, all kind of shit, right? How do you treat your accused friend and then your friend who has questionable behavior? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to get into that, like about dudes around you and shit like that. Did you see a lot of questionable behavior and stuff like that at Clemson?
So I'm glad to say, personally, anyone that I've been around hasn't been, to my knowledge, if it hasn't been brought up. But I've never witnessed anything like someone that I, am in cahoots with doing something nasty, because we all generally, like I said, it's like logical thing, guys. We don't move like that, or we would hope that the people that you're around with don't move like that. So, but do I know people that have been kind of outside of my like immediate circle that have gotten themselves in a situation like that? Yeah, I've seen it. And it was kind of like what you were saying before. It's easy when you're looking at celebrities or whatever, like that's far off. It takes absolutely nothing for us to say, oh, not yet, fuck him. It's very easy to say, nah, he's guilty. But when it's someone that's in your life personally, someone that you might see every day, might hit a little closer to home, might be a little more skepticism around condemning somebody just as fast. It takes like a little bit more, I guess, to put that on someone that's relative to your life. For some people, at least.
I just had that conversation with my girl. Like, I was like, yo, if I got accused of rape, you're more likely to believe me because you know me. Right. Like, people just make it like it's just this black and white thing. You get accused of rape. Oh, you just believe a woman. No, you taking out like the emotions in a real life shit, which is, I know this person. And that's why I brought up the whole questionable behavior guy. If you got a friend that grabs on women, even if you don't think it's like a serious thing, but does little things, if he gets accused,
and that's what I was gonna say. There's some people that I feel like, in the immature stage, they might, I'm not gonna say they don't know better, but they're just being immature about how they move and interact around women. Mm-hmm. Not that it's okay at any age, but right, some dudes just like don't grow up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's just kind of like a maturity factor in that. Some dudes grow up, oh, this is how you interact with women. Do this, don't do that. Some niggas do it anyways, right? And those are the ones you be like, all right, like, I see how you moving. That ain't it. And if something were to come out and saying, hey, look, person X has something accused against him, be like, all right, well, yeah, I can see it happening. Yeah, it would change my opinion of him immediately. Not change, but it would like be a whole lot easier for me to believe that than just someone that I'm like, hey, look, I've never seen, heard anything. I'm gonna be the same what you said, like wait for the facts to come out, you know. But at the same time, like you said, I know women. I think we all said we know women, dated women that have been involved in some kind of situation. We had a big thing on campus when I was in Clemson. You know, things got played out between two people. No one ever questioned her, right? Not once. And it was real. It happened to her. She like no one questioned her, right? Like we never did the whole, is she lying? Is she gonna take him to court? Does she want money from him? Like, nah, never happened. We all believed it. And it was real. And that's, I think, you know, common sense thing. Like we gotta play it out. Like, would it happen that way? Could it happen that way? Yeah. Does she have a reason to lie? No. What does she gain from it? Absolutely nothing, other than, you know, bringing herself justice. It makes it easy to believe people in that sense. You know what I'm saying? So, and when it's like your homeboys, you got to look at them with the same side eye. Like, damn, like, even if you saw themselves doing, you can see them doing it. Like, you got to kind of look at yourself. Like, did you do anything to prevent it? Like, did you have that conversation with them? Like, hey, yo, you moving weird or something like that? Did you have the conversation when say like you're doing something that could be potentially harmful to someone in the future? Like, I don't know. Like, that's how the way that I would think of it. It was someone that was like in my circle. Like, what part could I have played in either preventing it or letting them know that that was not the move? But people are going to be people. They're adults responsible for their own actions.
I do think there is a level with men of they don't know certain stuff. Like, I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about some of the behaviors around that. You know what I mean? They don't understand, or someone hasn't pulled them aside and like, yo, dog, that shit is wrong. Like, example, like maybe 8 years ago or so, I learned coercion is part of rape. Like what coercion is. Example of a celebrity I can give recently is Lotto. Like she was talking about how she was trying to get a verse clear from a male rapper. And I guess the male rapper was trying to get at her. And so either she couldn't get it cleared or it was hard. That's coercion, dog. Like, it's not the same thing, but like an easier example is if you're riding in a car on a date with a chick and y'all are out somewhere, I don't know, somewhere with a site that's kind of out away from everyone else. And you say, yo, if you don't give me some head right now, I'm gonna leave you here. That's coercion. That's rape. Dog, that's rape.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something like that. I think there's a vast majority of men who don't understand that that's rape or that's sexual assault. That falls under sexual assault. Like Trey Songz. I've heard enough to feel like that nigga raped somebody. You raped somebody, dog. I just from logic.
Yeah, I'll give you Trey Songz. I'll give you Trey Songz for sure.
Like that nigga,
but again,
man.
That's what I'm saying. There's some dudes that come up in that and don't grow out of it. I feel like he's one of them. You know, he came up in an era where that, like, we're talking about it now openly. It's not like he came up in an era where this was that open and that fluid of a conversation and we can all just talk about it. Like, nah, it was like niggas were coming up and you were taught this is how you gain women. You do this to get that. And then niggas just don't grow out of that sometimes.
Right, so then who holds that accountable? Who's gonna teach them? Hey, my nigga, this is wrong. What you were saying about grabbing somebody up, and like you're talking about how like
knows better,
right? So that's what I'm saying.
Or
so
women,
like, right?
Niggas need to listen to women.
It's not because it's not their job to do that and then protect themselves on top of it and then teach us too. Like that's too much to ask of them. It's us. I'm not an officer of the court. I'm a community police officer, basically. I will grab somebody up and say, my nigga, you need to fucking relax. I'll do that because I've been the friend that's been called when niggas was wilding on da-da-da. I'm the person that people call, and I got to hem somebody up all the time. So it's like, it's on us to do that. Like when we were younger, yeah, you would think that there were certain things that like were okay. And obviously we grow up to like, nah, nigga, you're wild. We can't be doing that. So yes, there's a certain grace that I give younger people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, they're not going to know unless somebody teaches them. You know what I'm saying? And even like, so it's like, there's dudes our age, right? My age, and they still don't get it and understand it. And I can't fuck with them no more. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't have to give them grace, nothing like that. I can go tell them to go fuck themselves because at this age of ours, if you don't get it now, you don't want to get it. Yeah. You're not trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't have to be this judicial person with balance and logic. I can go tell you to go fuck yourself because Again, the only thing that I care about is my community. And somebody that I'm in community with wouldn't act this way, regardless if they were taught or not. At our big ass age, you're still acting like that. Fuck out of here. That's the only thing I have for them.
And one of the ones that trip me most is I see every day, every other day or so on the timeline, there's some woman posting some DM text interaction of just a nigga being weird. Like just straight up just being weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like grown ass adults. And it's like somebody somewhere on his side of his circle, like, needs to know, like, dog, like, what are you doing? And need to like pull them to the side. Like, this is not, they ain't making like some, the issue is sometimes these niggas do things 1 or 2 times and it works for them. It might work for them and they don't get told. Like I said, a woman might fall into the coercion or whatever, right? So they think, oh, I did this and I got that one time. I keep doing it. No one told them it was wrong, so they keep doing it. So, and just because they got away with it once, they feel like it's their norm, and that's where they operate within.
I also think I used to bring this up. I don't know what the answer is to this, but you'll have women who be like, I love a dude who like kept coming back, trying to holler, right? And you have another woman like, yo, I said fucking no the first time. And so there's these things that men take in, this information, and sometimes they don't know what the fuck, or they just go with what's, I guess, best for them in their head. Like, oh, it's better for me.
But that's a read the room situation, bro, because it's like, all right, a 10.5 in this sneaker might not be, you know what I'm saying? That's might fit you one way. The 11.5, this one's the one that's going to make you comfortable.
You probably got to take the reaction.
Right, man.
Like,
you got to read the room or certain shit.
Like if she shoots you down, but she kind of smirking, or is
not even that.
Then you
example of that. I was in. You
got 6.5.
Yeah. I was on a work trip. I gotta withhold where that work trip was for certain reasons. But anyway, I was on a work trip. We out there. We go partying, and my homeboy starts talking to this chick. These 2 chicks. He comes in, he gets me, and he's like, yo, I got these 2 chicks over here. Let's go talk to them, right? I'm like, cool. So I go over, start talking to him, introduces me, talk to him. And the one that I'm talking to, like, she's giving me like 1-word answers. Like, she's not really. So I'm like, cool, not interested, whatever. So I walk off. I walk off, right? I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Hey, catch you later, bro. So I start mingling over here, right? End up leaving later on without him. I go back to the hotel, nothing popped that night. I go back to the hotel, and he hits me up maybe like an hour, 2 hours later, and he's like, yo, you remember the chick from the spot? She wants you to come by. And I was like, for what? Like, she wasn't giving me no play when I was there. Like, and he was like, nah, she just wants somebody that's going to be super aggressive. She wants you to be aggressive. She wanted to know that you, and I was like, nah, man, like, she tried to get me caught with something. You know, like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, yo, she really wants you to come by. I didn't go by. I didn't go over there. Like, but that's the type of shit that you was talking about right there. Like,
because I feel because I had a situation where this chick would do certain stuff with me and then start acting weird when it came to like really doing, finishing the job, and like I just cut her off because I'm at a place where you're not gonna get me in a position where I feel like I don't know what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want? Because there's plenty of women that I've dealt with, they like rough shit, or they want you to, be aggressive, that kind of thing. Obviously you have to know the person before you go in and do that shit. But sometimes you don't know where that line is. And if we can, before we get cut off, Trey Songz, right? I presented this to my girl, right? Just this thinking. You're Trey Songz, right? Big dude, an R&B sex symbol, whatever you want to call it. When you touch down in any city, women are on you immediately, right? Is it possible? I'm not trying to make an excuse for him, right? But is it possible that when you get to a point where you go to any city, you can have the pick of whoever for the most part, that once you start interacting with women who aren't on that time, you can get the way you think about shit is now different. And so you could take a woman, I guess, giving you some play or whatever, what you think is some play, as something completely different because you've been so used to these women just throwing themselves at you and shit like that. And my girl was like, I can see how that can happen. It's not shooting him any bell on if he's done some of the shit he's done, but I can see how that can happen. And like I said, I try to avoid shit like what you're talking about.
To an extent, right? Like, but it gets to a point where, like, I mean, let's be realistic. If you have any type of like social cues or social IQ, you could tell like if somebody's into what you're doing, right? Yeah. Like, and that's like the same situation. Like, I could tell this girl. Well, I could tell that she wasn't into what I was giving her, right? Like the game I was spitting wasn't working for her, right? Like, so sure, that might work for Trey Songz, like the stuff that he does normally, and you know, the girls might be throwing it at him, whatever. But like, if you have any type of social IQ, like you can tell when it's not working. Yeah. And when it's not working, you stop. Like, yeah, go about your way, go find a different girl.
I think some of those cats, because I mean, mainly we're talking about regular dudes, but for those guys though, like your reality is distorted. You know what I'm saying? Especially
it's the Darren Sharper thing, though. You know what I'm saying? It's the Darren Sharper thing where we don't know, and I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to try to think like one or pretend to be one, but like it's one of those things where it could be just the power of it all. Where, you know what I mean? Because it's been thrown at me, I'm entitled to it whenever I want, wherever I want, however I want. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's that. You know what I mean? Like we know if we went to go play ball with Trey Songz at our local park right now, and the women was outside, you know, women are gonna pull up. You know what I mean? Go crazy for him and all that shit. We know that, right? Yeah. But that doesn't have anything to do with the next action of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
And when I just want to clarify, when I'm speaking on when you kind of can't read cues and stuff, I'm not talking about if he supposedly raped someone. I'm talking about like the story of like at a party, this chick was with like her boyfriend and he fucking runs in and fucking just starts kissing her and shit like that. If someone says no, you fuck, there's no like mixing that up as far as like rape, but as far as the sexual assault, those type of things is what I'm talking about. So just for clarity, we can cap that subject and we can move on to the last one and wrap it up.
Let's enjoy an intermission.
Yeah, the whole thing is just like the more you see something, I feel like we're at an advantage as people my age. I feel like younger people, social media, more stories are able to get out there, right? You able to see things if you really want to look for it every single day. Niggas is growing up with that shit. Like I said, I think there's a little gap between that. Like, I don't want to say like ignorance is in like they don't know better, because there's some shit where you obviously know right from wrong. But if you just like are unaware, like I said, the women that post shit of nigga saying all kind of wild shit in they DMs trying to get some play, you know, it's like, do they really know that that's not okay if everyone around them is doing the same thing and no one's telling them otherwise? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not okay, but do they know that until someone says something otherwise to them?
Niggas know,
especially
it's okay.
if it's worked once or twice.
I'm sorry, niggas know it's not okay. They do it because it's the anonymity of being online, right? Like this is the same way you play video games, you get motherfuckers come on talking about what's up, nigger, blah blah blah, right? It's because it's the anonymity of being online, right? Yeah. Like. And a lot of the people that's on there know that they're never going to meet these people in real life. And to be realistic, like the words aren't illegal, right? So they get on there, they say all kinds of crazy shit with no intentions of ever doing anything anyway, right? But it makes these women feel uncomfortable, right? Like, and that's not to say that
it's not right.
That's not to say that like sexual assault and sexual harassment doesn't happen on a daily basis to most women, right? Like, but if we're just talking about the online shit, right? Like that's that's what happens when you get online anonymity. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You feel like you're untouchable. Yeah, but that's
I'm saying
but,
like
but
a
I
nigga
think
get
that's
online and DM 10 women.
Mhm.
It might work twice, maybe. You might have 2 that go for it. That's enough for a nigga to do that to every single woman that he will ever DM after that. If he
sure,
wants
because he probably doesn't talk to many women in person, right? Like, so
yeah.
if he gets 10 women, or I'm sorry, he gets 2 women off the DMs, then that's the majority of the pussy he's getting, or the women he's getting, right? Like, so he's gonna do that same thing over and over again, knowing
But
that
no
the
one's gonna
majority
tell
of
him that he's
knowing
wrong
that the majority
if
of
they
them
doing it too. That's what I'm saying. There's too many people out here moving the same and they serve. That's why I know I said earlier, I don't feel like I don't know how each individual person I interact with moves on their own private time. Not completely, but from what I've witnessed, I haven't witnessed anybody move any kind of weird off tempo type of shit.
Mhm.
And I would like to think that because I have a somewhat diverse group of individuals that we all have piggyback and we have sent each other like, hey, nah, that might not be it. That might not be it, but it ain't nothing like over the top. Like, yeah, we kind of all learn from each other on how to, speak and do shit like that, conversate and whatever. But I feel like if every single one of y'all is on that, what do they call it, demon time, right? That's what they had. Like, they said, like, oh, we on demon time. We in here telling woman, hey, bust that pussy open off her stories, Instagram stories, right? Turn around, bitch. You know what I'm saying? When she posts a picture like shit like that, I'm like, yo, like it might work. 2 out of 10 women might turn around for them and help, so they'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I agree. It's all right. Let's get to this last topic. I'm sorry. Let me not laugh. All right.
That's not fun, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So recently, a swimmer named Lia Thomas has been dominating swimming. It's a transgender woman, and apparently, from what I heard, because I haven't really been following this closely, honestly, but when she identified as a man, she was trash, not good at all. Like,
ranked 435th.
all right, and now she's dominating. Wendell,
Rank number 1 is as a female.
Yeah, so and it's been popping up a little bit. It's not like anything crazy, but it's been popping up here and there across the country. Wendell, I'm gonna let you lead this, man. How you feel about transgender women competing in women's sports? How do you feel about the transgender women and their supporters saying that they are real women, quote unquote, real women, and things of that nature?
Yeah, I'm gonna get in
I
trouble.
know.
I'm gonna get in trouble
I'm
here.
curious if you're gonna tell that story again. I'm curious on camera. You don't have to. I just when this was brought up, I hit Mark because I was like, "What are you gonna tell that?"
Nah, I'm not gonna tell that story only because it has nothing to do with the sports, the transgender sports shit, man. So
yeah, but I wanted to talk about this not just because you brought it up, but also because I think Black men and probably just men as a whole are seen as I don't think we know a lot about this, and I think we're the ones with a lot of the strong opinions about it, even though we really don't know a lot about it.
yeah,
I don't know any transgender people personally.
Yeah, I don't know any personally. Well, besides
Plenty.
that one that I told the story about. Well, fuck it, I'll tell the story. But as it pertains to the Lia,
I don't mean to laugh. My bad, dog.
Yeah, whatever. Right? Look, here's the thing, yo.
The only reason I'm laughing is because I know you're not traumatized because you're willing to tell the story.
Yeah. Like I was. Don't get me wrong. I was traumatized when it first happened, right? Like, but I've gotten past it. What'd you say?
I said, fortunately, it didn't go too far.
Yeah. I've gotten past it. And what's crazy is, we were talking about the PTSD stuff earlier. Like when that happened was in a pretty bad time for me, right? Like, so
it could have went left.
it could have went very left. And, you know, luckily I was at a point in my, because I was going to therapy back then too. I was at a point in my therapy where, you know, I had control of my emotions and nothing went left, you know. So for those that don't know, so back in what was that? That would have been 2014. I was in Tampa. I go out to the strip club with a homeboy of mine. Meet these two strippers. We start, you know, talking, trying to get them, you know, come back to the crib with us, blah, blah, blah. The one that I was talking to.
Damn, I thought it was overseas, man.
Nah, this was in Tampa, man.
I thought it was like Philippines or something.
Nah. So the one that I was talking to, she was like, you know, I really want to, but I can't. My boyfriend will beat me, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, she didn't end up coming, but the one that my boy was talking to did. We go to Waffle House. You know, when I get a little tipsy, you know, I get a little funny, so I'm in there cracking jokes. I'm flirting with the waitress, and the girl was like, you know, my girlfriend would love you. And so I'm like, well, hey, call your girlfriend up, see what's up, you know, blah blah blah. She's like, okay, bet, right? So she calls this individual up, and you know, they're like, yeah. She's like, oh yeah, he's cute, he's funny, blah blah blah. She's like, all right, hangs up the phone. She's like, yeah. She said we should come by the house. I'm like, cool, let's finish eating. Let's go over there. So finish eating, go over to this house, meet this individual. And to be realistic, like, it's pretty, right? Like, this would have been somebody that, like, even in the club, if I had just run into in the club, I probably would have shot at also, right? Like, no, you know, immediate indicators or anything like that. So my boy goes in, you know, into the room with the first chick, and then I'm out there with this individual. We start kissing, making out, blah blah blah. Hat on a skirt, you know, I'm rubbing on ass, everything. Like, I'm grabbing ass, you know. I go to reach under the skirt, and this individual like jumps way back. Like, way back. And I remember thinking, like, that was exaggerated. Like, why was it that, you know, serious? Like, could have been just like a hand grab or whatever, right? But you know, had been drinking, whatever. I kind of blow it off, jumps back in my lap, we go at it again. A couple minutes later, go to reach under the skirt again, same thing. So I'm like, okay, all right, something's up. So I get on the phone, I text my man, I'm like, yo, we got to go. Like, something's up here, bro. He's like, what are you talking about, man? Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he ends up coming out. Before he comes out, I'm standing out there talking to the individual, and this individual is like, hey, give me your number. Let's talk tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, let's see what's up, whatever. I give this person my number. Boy comes out, we rock. He's like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, nothing, man. Like, I just had a bad feeling, bad vibe. Boom, boom, go home. Next morning, this person hits me up like, hey, had a great time with you last night. You know, thanks for coming over. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. You know, cool. And then he's like, I really like you, but ... And I was like, oh. As soon as I saw the ...
Don't hit me with the ...
I already knew it was coming, right? And so,
did you think the pussy maybe stank before you finished? Nah, did you think, or you already knew what it was?
No. As soon as I saw the ... I already knew it was coming.
No, I mean when she was doing that, did you think maybe it was on the rag or the pussy stink or something like that?
I didn't know. Like I said, I felt weird about it. Like I said, like the jump backs were super exaggerated. Mm-hmm. So like I had a inkling, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was just weird. It was just weird. And so get the ... and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, all right, but ... I'm like, but what? And motherfucker's like, but I'm trans, right? It's like, I really want to hang out though, blah blah blah, you're real cool. And so again, this is where this whole thing, like I said, I was in therapy at the time, and I was like, okay. I'm like, look, like, we can't hang out, not my thing, but I was like, you should have told me last night, but whatever. Thanks for telling me now. Like, cool. Take care. Have a good life. Blah, blah, blah. And then he is like, I don't know. I don't know the proper thing, man. Like,
Hey,
this individual was like, well, I couldn't tell you because I had to be worried about my safety. Right. And so this kind of irked me, right? Because I'm like, yo, like your homegirl sold you as a female while we were at the Waffle House before I knew where you lived, before I knew anything before I knew what you looked like, anything, right? Like, so, it's kind of disingenuous to be like, I got to be worried about my safety now when.
Well, shouldn't it be more on the friend? Because, well, I guess she could have told the friend to say
it's on both of them. It's on both of them, right?
What would have happened if she had told you that night? Like,
I'd have said, no, I'm not going over there. Like, and that would have been the end of it. Like, that's not my thing. I'm not interested.
Gotcha.
Cool. There's people that are into that, and that's cool. That's their thing. Whatever. Not me.
But without knowing, you were attracted to her,
right? Yeah, physically, like I said, like this would have been a person that I would have seen in the club and like shot my shot at. Absolutely.
So all right, and I'm not trying to like make you like what you don't like or try to convert you where I'm not. This is not. But But yes, I do understand her saying that she had a fear for her safety. I do get that completely, right? But then again, how do I get?
But how? I'm curious how you get that when I don't know where this person lives. I don't know this person.
It's not. You see, but you're taking it personal as opposed to what their experience is.
No,
it's not so much about you.
I'm taking it logical. I'm taking it logical.
I do agree with Wendell here.
You're inviting a person. You're inviting a person that you don't know to your house.
Okay,
right?
You could have told him at the Waffle House.
No, that's why I was going to get to that. I was definitely going to get to that. It's a 50-50 thing. She should have absolutely said something. You know what I mean? Like, listen, this is what it is. You know what I mean? And then you guys go from there. I completely agree with that. But it's just like, if you were attracted to her before then, I don't see what the difference is afterwards. I'm being honest. What's the difference after?
Well, I'll tell you the difference is she has a penis.
Okay. All right. No, listen, I'm asking. I'm asking you.
Right. So, I mean, that's the main difference, or the biggest difference is that she has a penis, right? And I'm not interested in individuals that have penises. Like I like natural born vagina. I'm not ashamed to admit that, and I don't think that makes me a transphobe or whatever, right? Like
go back to that tweet.
I think this person has the right to live a safe, happy, healthy life, but I don't think that includes tricking people into something that you're not.
No, that's going to be my question. You feel tricked about that? That you felt
absolutely 100%. Because I would have never gone over there if this was told to me in the first place, right? Like it doesn't matter what they look like. Like if I had known that you were born with a penis and testicles, like that's something that I'm not interested in. And I would have never gone over there, right? You would have never had to worry about your safety because I don't know where you live. I don't know what you look like. I don't know who you are. And that's that. So to use the safety issue after the fact, after you've tricked me, after you've manipulated me into coming over here and doing this with you, now you want to say I have to be worried about your safety. And realistically, and I told this individual this, I said, you're lucky it was me. And this is not, I'm not glorifying this or anything. This is just the hard reality of it. I said, you're lucky it's me. And I'm in the state of mind that I am, because I know people who would really hurt you for doing this to them because their ego because their ego couldn't take it. I said, and now I know where you live. I know who you are. I know what you look like. And if I was in this mindset and if my ego was fragile, like,
go back.
I know do that. I know people that would really do that. I know people to this day who could not handle that and would go and do that. So your whole argument of saying you have to be worried about your safety after you've manipulated and tricked me kind of goes out the window after you've manipulated and tricked me.
Yeah. If there were other circumstances, I would agree with her. But because
if it was something like if we met out and I started talking to this individual and we ended up back at the house in that situation, okay, cool. I get it. Like, you don't want to say anything, in that situation while we're out in public when we get back to the house, because then you got to be worried about your safety, right? I get it. But we were completely segregated. Like, I have no idea who you are, where you live, what you do. The only thing I have is that your homegirl is talking to my homeboy in this Waffle House right now. And then your homegirl told me we should go to your house and meet up because you would love me.
Yeah. I really like the topic with the swimmer. I wanted it to lead into this discussion because that's really, like, to me, the important part of it is, I mean, aside from the sports competition thing, is really like how you deal with stuff. And, Wendell, you remember that tweet from a few weeks ago where somebody basically was trying to say, like, if you won't date like a transgender, like you're like
you're trans.
That's going too far. That's
ridiculous, dog. Like, we should have the agency to pick what sex you have sex with. You know what I mean? I like I said, I don't know any trans people. I know plenty of gay people. I understand that. I don't get the trans stuff, right? I don't get the whole identify as this or whatever. I don't get it. And I understand that I don't get it. And I understand that I'm not going to get everything in life, and not everything is for me to get. I do understand to leave people the fuck alone, let them live their life, though.
Right.
And that's why I don't get with everything. Is like, I might think some stuff is going overboard and things like that. But when it comes to like just leaving people the fuck alone, let them live their lives as long as they're living a consensual life, that's how I feel about it. But I do think this, what happened to you, right? If it had went farther, right? So I do think there should be a law against like tricking people, and it will prevent
I think we
a lot of shit.
I don't think we should use that word. You use the word that's proper for it. I think it's consensual. Right. I don't even think it's a tricking them. I think the thing that we were talking about before, as far as coercion and consent, I think the consent wasn't there, that he didn't know. So I think that's the issue there. Like, I would have an issue with that if it wasn't a consensual thing. Like, I should go into it knowing. Now, if, this man and this man that transitioned to being a woman, they are consensual about it, more power to you. Enjoy yourselves. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? But I think that consensual piece, that part of it, I think when people start saying tricking, what happens is that it gives other people in to say, oh, you see, look how you're talking about it. And like, it gives them ammo to try to sit there and downplay what you're saying. So I think we should start using consensual more.
Consensual. I'm with you on that.
But what's the difference between saying
it's not me. I'm just saying in general, the ammo that people will use to say, "Oh, look at how you're," and then it's going to give it's like an opening for them to do this arguing and bait. It's like a bait thing that they want to try to get you. Or I'm gonna catch you or something. You know what I mean? So. Right.
I get what you're saying, because then they'll go into the whole, that's still a real woman.
It snowballs into something else. Exactly.
It's just how it's going to be taken by some people who, probably the same people who tweeted.
Because if we use consent is consent across the board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't argue with consent.
You can't argue with consent. So it's across the board. If I say consent, now you understand it plain and clear, as opposed to saying tricking, where it's like, what do you mean by that? And now they're going to misconstrue it on purpose.
And then it won't be about the original topic. Right. It'll go into something else.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Go for it, man. Go for it. I'm gonna let you
shit. What was I gonna say, man?
I was gonna bring up the actual swimmer, Marcus.
Yeah.
Could we do a sports spot, a collective one? How do you feel about, because I actually did listen to a podcast. I believe it was like ESPN Daily or something like that, or maybe it was the Daily for New York Times. And they did get like someone to come on. I honestly didn't listen to all of it because I just didn't care. But basically the person tried to argue some shit where like they were talking about Michael Phelps and they said his lung capacity is bigger than everyone else's. Is that a competitive advantage as opposed to this? And they try to do that. Lia Thomas, trash as a man, swimmer, #1, breaking all kind of records and stuff. What's your take on it?
Michael Phelps was born that way and always competing against, men born as men. If there wasn't a need for division, you wouldn't have men and women separated, period. Right? There's clearly a physical difference to where there's a point that there has to be separation. Annually in the college track and field championships, you'll get someone that's or usually about 1, 2, maybe even third place, usually clear the women's world record in the 100 meter, 200 meter. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you have a guy that, and we're talking about the transition process, right? They're saying, oh, well, they have to be on hormones. His hormone levels aren't exceeding a certain, whatever, she isn't exceeding a certain level, for competition purposes. Because they were talking about the other woman who was doing, I can't remember what it meant. Maybe it was a 400 or the 1600. That black woman that had elevated levels of testosterone, they wouldn't let her compete. I don't know if you remember that. They pulled her.
Woman.
Natural born woman.
Was she like South African or something?
Something like that. Yeah. It was a foreign woman, but they were barring her from competing because she had elevated levels of testosterone, even though she's a natural born woman. So there was that juxtaposition of, well, is it really about the testosterone levels or them being born that way? And they were like, well, no. So, but to me, it's because dude was born as a man, went through puberty and physical growth and development as a man with male hormones, competed 3 years in college at the collegiate level, D1. I mean, it's Ivy League, but D1 level as a man. So there's already a very large advantage physically to that point. And then, at 20, 21 years old, which, like I said, more power to her if they want to do that, right? More power to them. They want to go live their life, safe life, do whatever you want to do. But then you coming back into a plane of equality, right? Sports competition is supposed to be a plane of equality, equal playing field, equal opportunity for everyone to compete. It's no longer equal. You've already gone through 20-something years of male development, and then you switch to female hormones. It doesn't change the fact that you've already been trained and developed as a man, and to go out and dominate against women and ask for sympathy is 100%
bone structure, bone density, muscle density. Like that doesn't just go away,
right?
Just because you stop taking testosterone, or because you whatever you're on hormone blockers or whatever. Like that frame is there. Like you have an advantage over females that never had those 20 years of testosterone flowing through their body,
right?
To get to that point.
I'm curious what I guess Lia like what she gets out of this, because if pretty much damn near everyone around you thinks it's an invalid win, like what kind of joy are you going to get out of it?
But that's the thing. Was it strictly for the purpose of competitive advantage, or was this transition for her life? You know what I'm saying? So like, I think we have to look at the intent behind it, right? If we're going to look at the nuance of it. And to me, like, I don't look at it as a big deal for two reasons, right? Because I understand where everybody's coming from as far as it being unfair, as far as the body structure of a man versus a woman. I get everything that everybody's saying. I'm not disagreeing with any of those competitive points, right? But just as on a human level, I'm just looking at it like, so, you know what I mean? Life ain't fair.
Well, see, here's the thing with that. It's not fair. No, it's not fair per se because of the advantage, but you have someone like, okay, it was a woman from Virginia Tech swimming that was 17th, right. 16 spots. You just took that spot away from someone that, in all accounts, might not, you say it might not be fair, but this is something that's an anomaly not being allowed. Someone in second place.
Here's another thing. There was another swimmer. I forget the race it was, but she tied for 5th with Lia, right? And Lia had already won like first place and second place in other races. She tied for fifth with Lia in this particular race. And when they went up to the podium, they were like, you can't go up. We only have one fifth place trophy. And we're giving it to Lia. And she was like, why does Lia get it? Like, why isn't it me? And they were like, well,
it's the whole PR.
Because, right? And so she was like, well, look, Lia's already got to stand on the podium a couple times, so it should be me that gets to go up this time. And they were like, no.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question.
All right.
Would we ever be talking about women swimming if it wasn't for this?
No.
Absolutely not. Not to the Olympics.
That doesn't make it right.
Yo, Al. So
life ain't fair.
Let me ask you.
Life ain't fair. When it comes to especially sports, it's sports,
man.
Yeah,
it's sports.
But let me frame it like this. Like, I know you got nephews you're close to. I don't know if you got nieces, but let's say you have a niece.
Right.
She's training her whole life to get to the Olympics, and she fucking loses to Lia Thomas. You're not going to feel some type of way about it because she probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I would. I don't care. I agree with you. I don't really care. That's why I don't even know that much.
I understand. No, I understand. I understand it. I'm the most competitive person I've ever met in anything. It doesn't matter what we're doing. I want to be the best. And if I can't be the best at it, you're not going to see me for 2 months until I'm the best at it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm psycho competitive about stuff like that I actually care about. So I get it. So me losing to anybody in anything, or even me being in proximity to somebody training something, I want them to win. I'm going to help them get there. So I get what you're saying. So I don't have an emotional investment into it, right? So that situation would be a completely different person, but it wouldn't be because of the competitive advantage. I would just, you shouldn't have even let it be that close. You should have been first anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, well, you shouldn't have been on the cusp. Like, if it's my niece, why were you on the cusp? You should have been number one to begin with. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I'm being honest.
But they're like, that was a man.
Somebody's going to be 17th. It doesn't matter who it is.
That's their problem. Well, I'm not. If I was 17, well, why are you doing over here at 17? You should have been number 1 or 2 at the very least. That's how I'm looking at stuff because of my competitive nature.
So what if your niece was number 2 and Lia was number 1?
Hey, life. Life.
Hey.
It's life. You're not always gonna win. I'm dead ass. You're not always gonna win.
So are we cool with like KD tomorrow? This summer, let's say he transitions and he's Kiki now, and he goes to WNBA and scores 200 points a game, and we're just gonna be like, that's life.
Such is life, because it's sports. It's not the end all be all of life. That's what I'm saying.
I do agree that it's sports is not the end all be all, but for sports,
that's somebody's livelihood, though.
That is somebody's livelihood.
Sport. Wait. Let's stop downplaying.
I'm competitive. I play ball. I play tennis. I play baseball. I'm with all of it, and I want all the smoke all the time. I get it. You know what I mean? Trust me, I understand what you're saying. So I'm not downplaying it. And yes, listen, it is somebody's livelihood. It might be the difference between making. It's a woman's livelihood. It's the difference between $100,000 and $500,000, right? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I get that piece of it. Trust me. You should have placed number 1 anyway.
Basically, you saying that WNBA players should be good enough to play in the NBA then?
Because you know the argument that we have, a lot of guys have a lot. Oh, I can watch that WNBA player.
Which a lot of guys can.
Wait, 99% of guys can't.
We're talking about we're talking about the elite of the elite, right?
This is what I'm saying. Right.
The elite of the elite WNBA players can watch 99% of regular male basketball players that are not in the league, right? But if they get into the NBA, like, they would be the worst players in the league. Like, easily.
They wouldn't even.
I root for the Knicks, so I don't know about that.
He's a real Knicks
fan. So I don't know. I see some shitty ass guy basketball players.
I guarantee you, if you put the best team in the WNBA against the worst team in the NBA, worst team in the NBA would wash them. Like, it wouldn't even be a competition, right? Come on, man.
What are we doing though? Let's change one rule. If I change one rule,
what's that? What's
no
the
dunking?
rule?
You've already handicapped them because why? There's a difference.
Oh.
That's
All right.
it.
So if I change one rule,
what's the rule? Which rule? Which rule?
Offensive foul.
What?
Offensive foul would be called more. It would be called more prominently.
Oh,
if I change that,
it wouldn't matter.
Nah, bro. Nah,
they would be renting threes, dunking on them. It would just be like, You think
the athleticism would overcome all of it, right? That's like you just
absolutely.
Yeah, because think about it. Like
these women can shoot.
Think about like a six. Think about like the NBA player now is like average one is like a 6'8" dude, right? That can shoot, dribble, go inside, all that. So, how many women are 6'8" in the WNBA? It might not be any, right? So just that alone, your biggest person, I can come down on your biggest person and just pull up and shoot over them easily. Or I can tell Miles Bridges, hey, just run to the basket. I'm gonna just toss that shit up. Brittany Griner can't do shit about that, and that's all day. So I don't think it would be close at all.
All right, let's do tennis then.
Brittany Griner,
I think basketball was the wrong sport.
Yeah.
How about tennis?
Tennis is the same. I forget who that was.
I gotta see what
Mary. I remember you talking about the one back in the day.
I forget who that was. It was the best male player versus
and the woman watched her.
And what? No, bro. No.
Wait.
Didn't the McEnroe brothers? No.
Yo,
my bad.
The woman won. Mary Lou.
The male washed.
No. The Battle of the Sexes joint. I know what you're talking about.
Google it.
Hey, I'm about to got 749 just
Battle of the Sexes, right? And it was Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, right?
Uh-huh.
And Billie Jean King won.
Hold on.
He won 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. Okay, then there was all right. So there was three of them. Guys won twice, and Billie Jean King is the woman that won. But she was the best women's tennis player at the time, and she washed this dude 6-4, 6-3, 6-3.
What rank was the dude that she beat?
Yeah, that's what my bad. I was muted. I was like, how good was that guy? Like, because like if you got like one of these mediocre guys and then you got the best, I still think
former number one ranked.
He was a former number one.
He was 55 at the time.
Okay.
Oh,
okay. There we go.
But he got washed. But tennis is tennis. He got washed.
He was number 55.
55 and you
got washed.
He didn't get washed at his peak. He got washed when he was number 55.
But he got washed.
Come on, bro.
I wonder where Billie Jean was. Was she at her?
She was 20. She was 29.
Okay, so she was in her.
She was number one.
But 29 in tennis age is old as shit.
It is.
How old was he?
How old was he? 55.
Wait. How old was he?
55.
He was 55.
Remember?
Oh, he was 55 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
He old. Man.
You talking yourself out of your own argument. It took a 29-year-old to beat a 55-year-old man.
I'm a professional. You think? All right, put it like this. You think at 50? Well, how old is Jordan right now? Jordan's what? 59.
He probably somewhere.
He's 59. Jordan's 59. You're telling me a 29-year-old woman is going to beat Michael Jordan right now?
It's possible. Yes.
No.
One with knees, maybe.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's absolutely possible.
Because his competitive spirit is such that I'm not letting you beat me. It doesn't matter who you are. And that's the way I look at sports. That's how I view when I talk about sports. That's how I view sports.
Oh, you
let the other person beat you. If you want, just don't let the other person beat you. I don't care who it is. However you.
This isn't logical. This is not logical.
Like I said, we've left the realm of
this is not logical, bro.
I played women in tennis. I will not let. No, I don't care. I'm going to wash you. On purpose, I'm going to beat you.
I don't let people do that.
That's just my competitive spirit of it. So if you're good and you believe yourself as a competitive athlete,
we're talking about the top athletes of both sexes, right? We're not talking about
Joe Blow,
the average and the below average, which is, I don't know about your tennis game, man, but I'm willing to bet you're not like on in a professional.
They call me straight sets. They call me straight sets. That's what they call me.
All right,
they call me straight sets.
Okay, all right, I get it.
I'm the Rap Snacks Invitational champion. All right, so
but all I'm saying is, like, we're talking about the creme de la creme, right? Like, even in college athletes, like, these are the cats that are coming up to this level. right? If you take a honed male athlete who is at the top of his game, obviously we got proof, right? If he's ranked number 435, he will still beat the number 1 ranked females that are at the top of their game.
They should have been training harder.
Hey, but
I'm dead ass, man. We will tell you. They should have been training harder.
Come on, man.
Yeah, you gotta beat all them other women and biology.
Yeah. Oh, hey. It's just another.
I remember what I was going to ask. So, but do you think you got that perspective because you have the privilege of being a man, and we think that, like, whereas a woman is looking at a man like, you're a man.
I'm absolutely speaking from my own perspective only. I can't speak for the women at all, but like, so I can't, I'm pretty sure this conversation will go different if we really got honest with, women athletes and women at like off the record. They would probably be like, this is some bullshit. Like we all know that, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm half-heartedly joking here, obviously, but like, I just look at it like, what I'm serious about is it's like competition. That's just the way you have to be wired. It doesn't matter who the competition is. The object is to beat them. I don't give a fuck who's in front of me. You have to beat them. So it's just like, especially if at that point, and I get what you guys are saying about everything that you guys have said are right. I'm not disagreeing with any of it. But if you've been training your whole life for that, right? For these competitions and stuff, what you've been training to be a competitive monster. You know what I mean?
Been training to be women, though.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to wrap this up. I do appreciate all y'all for coming on, giving me y'all time. Y'all be on the lookout. Hopefully get Alan on for an episode with just him, and definitely get into his story. Definitely been following for years, reading his books. Hey, Al, can you shout out some of your books? Because you got so many. I haven't even read all of them. Before we get out of here.
All right. Well, the last book I put out was April 2020. It was called Yes, We're Haitian. It's a fiction book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Apple Books right now. Yes, We're Haitian. I got another book coming out, which is going to be my 10th. I'm currently working for Edition at Modern Luxury, which is a joint venture between Modern Luxury and Rock Nation. So you can catch all my everything that I'm writing over there. It's called Edition by Modern Luxury.
Yeah, I got to catch up on that stuff because you definitely been sending me. Oh, yeah, he's got a pod, but you're only doing like 2 more episodes, right?
2 more episodes than I'm out here.
Life. Actually, I wanted this pod to kind of be like that, and then I ended up turning into this more, where he just kind of gives you 15 minutes of fire on what's on his mind every week. So even you can still go back and listen, and it'll still be enjoyable because trust me, I missed a few weeks and I went back and it was still cool. I appreciate y'all. Wendell, hey, Marcus, what's up?
Hey, let me say, it's been fun. The whole thing's been fun. Alan, hey, I like the way you think, man. I like the way you don't. You come at things from a different perspective.
He does.
I like that, man. That's kind of like my whole thing, man. Yeah. So
you as well, man. I enjoy talking to y'all, man. I usually stay to myself and stuff, but this was cool.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna check out some of your books. Hey, and Marcus, it's always good talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna put you on to this. I'll put you on the stuff that I read so far from him.
Yeah, man. Send me their Twitters and stuff like that so I can follow them, and we'll chop it up like that as well.
This is the Ant Farm podcast where we try to plant seeds of wisdom, be enlightened, and grow. So that's the episode for this week. We're going to try to run back another group chat later on, maybe a month or so from now. Different topics, of course. And I appreciate all y'all for checking us out. Thank y'all for coming on once again. We out.